One, two, three. Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to the stream. Listen, I found out what is the issue with my mic. It might reoccur, but for now I fixed it. It is the battery of my camera, unironically. I have a dummy camera, like battery for my Sony Alpha 6100, and when I unplug it, the noise or the voice quality improves immediately. But when I don't, like when I have it plugged, there's a noise, there's a frequency. I bent the cable a little bit and now apparently there is not this weird frequency, but I ordered a new one. And I get a new graphics card as well. I think tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I have new RAM. I'm gonna be on 32 gigabytes of RAM. And then I'm gonna buy a new CPU. I don't have that CPU yet. I have the power supply. It's a power supply golden something. Golden what or something like that. Yo, welcome Bashi, welcome Head, welcome Izanami. Izanami is a sick name, by the way. Yo, Covenant Balrog. Yo, the Lolly. He is very upset with Tekken, it looks like. Himalas, what's up? AMP, yo, Karim. Yo, Christian, Devil J. Bro, you know what is funny about the chat now? You know what's bare funny? You have like YouTube and you have like Twitch at the same time. I can see how the vibe is different on YouTube, you know? Because the YouTube followers, they don't know me like that normally. The YouTube followers, they just seen like 1-2 takes they maybe liked. And then they seen maybe 1-2 takes they did not like. But my Twitch followers, they are close to me since years. Like, they watch me since 4 years every day, 6 hours a day, and therefore the bond is different. I wonder if I can do the same with the YouTube guys, like those guys that like to stay around. Hi from YouTube. Yo, what's up? Hi again. Yo, manager. Yo, next. Yo, salam. I take it you are going to good as Tekken mod this stream. Actually not. I'm not gonna go on the good as Tekken mod because two things. I disagree with their vision, and also the person like with the head apparently said that they are afraid of working with me because of getting backlash, since I am a controversial person. I have said the F word and stuff like this before. And therefore they say, yeah, this is problematic and this is maybe weird for us. We will get hate. They will say you are transphobic and stuff. And therefore I'd be like, okay, you know what? I already gave them this like for free advertisement. Like, I gave them advertisement, I sent everyone to their Discord twice, and I don't really need anything for that. I don't also want anything from that in the future. And I just give it to him like a gift from me. You know, just a gift. I spread your word around, and I wish you the best luck. No, don't leave that Discord channel. Don't leave that Discord channel. I just think, you know, I can go on to the vision. You know, the vision for me is more problematic than what he said. Because I don't really care if someone says, oh yeah, you are like, you have said this word and stuff. I would say yes, I still use it. I just don't do it on stream. Yo, Bazooka, thank you so much for the 5 gifted, man. What a giga chat. I kiss your heart. I suppose you're just thankful you've helped people to turn onto the mod. That's more than enough. Yeah, I like to support. Like, this is a grassroots situation. And for me, you got to understand, I think going for a Tekken 5 DR vision is gonna be applicable, but for a rather small part of the community. But they will like it a lot. I think you can have that, but I'm thinking on a grand scale. I'm thinking I want to make Tekken cool for everyone. A new generation. I want to make Tekken 8 good. And therefore, we have like a different point of view. But this is not even a problem. Because even if we have a different point of view, I can still like sometimes play the mod, showcase how far you got and stuff. I really don't need anything. You know, I just don't need anything. People are already saying patch is 10 out of 10. Really? Are they saying that? Well, that is weird. Because I am gonna go into the chat, into the patch notes. I'm gonna go into the patch notes. And I'm gonna like point out what I find weird. And I'm gonna also show you something on X about it. Because I like to draw the conclusions. And yeah. We're gonna see through it. No, it is a start. They get a long road ahead of them. Yeah, let's see if it is a start. Let's see, because I will explain to you why Tekken 8 might become worse. Okay? Might.
Kizaru Amena Godum.
Yo, thank you, Covenant. I kiss your heart. Thank you for the Prime. Thank you so much, bro. They didn't talk about the tracking. Does anyone have the patch? Oh, no, I have it. Never mind, I have it. Okay. Who has reacted to the patch notes yet? that is another good question. Who has reacted to it? Because I want to see what the people say also. You know? I'm very curious. You know, I am the guy that is policing, like, the script a little bit. Like, I'm gonna see if they are genuine. I gotta be honest, bro. That's my job in this community, is to keep everyone in check. Yo, is everyone in line, or is anyone lashing out again? Okay, take it with a grain of salt. I'm joking. Okay, TMM RIP FDX. That is good. Alright. TMM Joker also. Okay, that is alright. Okay. Alright. Oh, the buff guy. The buff guy made a video about FDX also, where he said that whoever has a problem with FDX will have a problem with me. And maybe we watched that also. That's interesting. I watched it. You watched the FDX one? Okay, what shall we start with, bro? There is so much content today. I swear I don't know what to start with. No one talks about tracking. No one talks about removing unique moves. Lol, whoever. Okay, you know what? We don't start with the buff guy. We're gonna do the reaction of the patch note myself. I'm gonna read everything for myself, form an opinion, and when I formed that opinion, I'm gonna check out how the other people have the opinion formed. So let's go. Alright. Balance Adjustment Policy. Version 2.02. The development team acknowledges that following the Season 2 version update, the overall game balance has shifted too heavily towards offense. We sincerely apologize that the actual balance changes did not align with the development intentions and policy previously communicated to players. We deeply regret not being able to address the improvements and adjustments that the community had hoped for. Okay. So in this part here, I would say they admit that they have lied. You know? Indirectly. Because they say, we deeply regret not being able to address the improvements and adjustments that the community have hoped for. And then they will talk about how they said that they will do it, but didn't do it. Because, no, before he said it, like, policy previously communicated to the players. So what we told the people, we did not do. And therefore, the community was angry, and we deeply regret it. That is very good, guys. Moving forward, we are committed to distinguishing between issues that can be addressed quickly and issues that require more time and community feedback for proper review. We will implement a step-by-step update process to improve the game experience. In this upcoming update, we will fix known issues and begin a balance review based on following policy. The patch notes version 2.02 are scheduled to be released shortly before the update around 10:30. Okay, we get the patch notes before the update. That is okay. Increase the maximum health value to help mitigate situations where the matches are decided through overly one-sided momentum. Okay, guys. Take a deep breath in for those that like this, because I will have to disagree. Okay? Take a deep breath. You know, even if you disagree in the beginning, listen to the arguments and then see if you can follow the script or not. Because this is not good. And why this is not good, I will explain. when you don't want to acknowledge in your, like they say, we acknowledge that we made mistakes, but they don't go through it with their actions because they don't revert the mistake. Instead, they leave it as it is and buff something else again. The policy in Bandai Namco currently is to fix everything with buffing something else, which doesn't work. And now I will explain. When you raise like the health value, you don't only change the outcome of the combos, you also change the moves in the neutral. And poking already got nerfed in Tekken 8. And because poking already got nerfed in Tekken 8, they will nerf it again with this patch, because how are you gonna balance a poke now when everyone has more health? Pokes will become useless somehow. Does that make sense to you? It is not a combo buff. It is a combo nerf also, but you have to understand the combo damage in Tekken 8 is so absurd that you need to give the characters now a lot more health. Not only by 20 life points, I mean like 30, 40 life points, in order to make the combos reasonable again. How the fuck are you gonna balance that when you have now 40 HP more with poking? And all the other moves in the neutral will now behave differently in the risk reward. So essentially, they are adding more mistakes and then we need to fix it again. Do you understand? They are adding more like mistakes. I don't want to be so negative. Like, I really do not know how to express it in any other shape or form, because logically it makes no sense. Let me see what the chat writes and then I keep going with the next joint. Aren't pokes used to disrupt the momentum of the opponent? How's the health increase debuff the poke? No, that is not the only reason why you would poke. You can also chip down the opponent through a poking style. And if the pokes have no damage, you can't do that. So essentially, what the gripe of many people was with Tekken 8 is that the focus went away from little interactions and small moves, which would make high-level Tekken in its core, and you would use small moves in order to find out where you use the big ones. Tekken 8 wants you to only use big moves, you know? They only want you to use big moves, and this is what we don't like. Yeah, poking characters will get automatically nerfed, I would say. And mix-up heavy characters will get buffed again. Like, it is quite astonishing. But I don't know, like, I need to read more. I need to read more. I cannot, like, but overall, this is my impression. First thing I feel and first thing I think when I hear that they buff the HP is what I just said. You know, that's it. In light of current damage environment trending towards inflation, driven by offense, heavy game balance, and increased aerial combo damage, the maximum health value will be increased. This adjustment is intended to ease situations where matches are too easily ended by one-sided momentum. Gradual adjustments to overly high rewarded moves. This update addresses the overall inflation of attack, strength, and combo damage by implementing adjustments that can be done quickly to moves that provide excessive reward. We recognize this as a game-wide issue rather than a problem limited to specific characters, and we plan to continue reviewing and tuning these aspects progressively. Okay. Examples of adjustments included in this update. Balance adjustments to high performance moves that can repeatedly create advantageous situations and lead to one-sided gameplay. This is not the first time I heard this, you know, that they say this. Let's see if they really pull through this time. Rebalancing the offensive and defensive aspects of the heat system. Currently, the benefit gained by attacking player through the heat system are considered too great. The following adjustments have been made. Revised damage scaling when using heat dash to suppress combo damage inflation. Yeah, this is good. It depends how they do it. Thank you so much for the subscription. You know what I think about this? Why this is good? It is because, you know, you can, like, let's talk about Kazuya's FF2. Kazuya's FF2 is two sides of the coin. The person doing it and the person defending against it. When you do it and you are on hit, you get rewarded with a satisfying combo. And it's very fun to do. But the damage output is just so high from such a strong move that it makes it volatile to play against. You could remove the launching property and only give a follow-up, CD1+2, but then you would disregard the fun about doing the combo itself. If they nerf the damage so severely that the combo is really just good to look at, not too long, and like not too long, they're not gonna change that, but at least not too damaging, then it will still at least be fun to do, and the opponent will be less infuriated if he doesn't die for it. Does that make sense? I'm trying to see it from the developing standpoint right now. I'm not trying to see it from my own eyes. I am trying to think like, okay, when you balance a game, you want to, and they also signalize that to us, they want to make it fun to play your own character by aggressiveness and like combos and things like this. Like, I get that. As if it is not too damaging, it's okay. How about launching heat engagers using up the bound instantly? Well, that could be what they have done. I don't know it. Suppress the combo damage inflation. They say oh no. The revised damage scaling. So what you are saying they are not doing, what they are doing is they just gonna make the scaling horse shit so that the combo just doesn't do any damage, but the combo itself is not gonna change. That makes sense in the sense of it is like an emergency patch, you know? It's emergency, guys, you got to understand. This is an emergency. They just don't want you to go away. You know, they want to implement something as fast as possible and not too ambitious in order to not be able to do it, and not like unimportant that you will say it doesn't change anything. Do you understand what I mean? I'm just trying to see, okay, you have this situation, how do you implement it? And let's be honest, they can't fix this game in fucking an emergency patch anyway. So, yeah. Am I sounding like a shill? You're still going to blog for your fucking life for the next 60 seconds, but at least you have more health. Yeah, at least you have more health. Planted shill, let's start with a new movement. Let's start with a new movement, man. Oh man. Alright. Oh, yesterday someone asked me if Super Akuma is a shill, and then I saw Super Akuma saying that someone wrote in his comment section that he is a shill. And then I wrote as a comment under his tweet, yo bro, just so you know, someone asked me also, I said you are not a shill, but I said that you are a Akuma player. I hope that's fair. Yeah, it's a 8. It's a band-aid, yeah. Imagine if you were the shill all along. Maybe this is some 8D chess, and all of this is actually like I am the shill, you know? An inception in an inception. No, it's not. Alright. Adjusted frame advantage on hit for heat engagers. Adjusted frame advantage on hit for heat engagers. Wow. That is very good, chat. What was our gripe with heat engagers? Heat engagers are plus 17. I hope they are plus 5. What do you say? I hope they are plus 5. Plus 7? I would say 5 is better. 7 is still a lot. Guys, these 2 digits plus frame situations in Tekken 8 is just something that has never happened before. That makes just no sense. Just forget about that joint overall. Think from fucking 0 to 10, bro. Like, and then realizing 8 and 7 is like super fucking high plus frames. They will do 15. Hey yo, listen, if they do from 17, 15, I'm gonna lash out. Okay? Is that a deal? I am here presenting myself from like the most calmest, most like an understanding way. Hey Bandai Namco, you know what? Okay, let's go through this, bro. If you do that joint from plus 17 to plus 15, I'm gonna be on your ass again, bro. Like, Murray, get your ass ready, man. It should be plus 5. Yeah. Oh, that sounded pretty gay, didn't it? Yeah, I acknowledge that. Sounded gay. Still have to guess, but it's nerfed. The plus joint. To be fair, more than the emergency patch itself, it's good that Harada recognized they fucked up. I'm gonna go into that soon. I made tweets about it. Maintaining benefits for the attacker while allowing the defender more opportunities to respond. Additionally, adjustments have been made to chip damage as follows. Reduce additional chip damage during heat. Change the system so that moves which already deal chip damage do not receive extra chip while in heat. Future updates will also include adjustments to the amount of chip damage dealt by individual moves. Okay, everything gets toned down, okay? I think it is okay, like it is better than the way it was before because it objectively is. But subjectively, I want them to just realize that chip damage is dumb and we don't like it. Who thinks that even... For me, even 5% chip damage is 5% too much. Personally, I just disagree with chip damage. Chip damage makes no sense to me. Is there anyone that thinks like, you know what, chip damage could be cool? You know, it could be a cool mechanic. Does this mean Alisa Chainsaw no longer chip in heat? They chip in heat, but less now. But I wanted to don't chip. What's the why? Like, for what reason? Yeah, I think the chip damage is only okay if it is applied in combo. That's the only place where chip damage I find it cool, you know? You get launched and their gripe with the game is always, yeah, your one launcher mix-up dead. But like this, at least it is chip damage from launch. And standing in the neutral, it should be real damage. This is how I see it. It just makes sense to me, logically. Why would you have chip damage in the neutral? Poking makes no sense. When you do block at the end of the round, you lose. It doesn't matter if it is fucking 5% chip damage or 10. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you lose the round because you defended perfectly in the neutral. Why? But combo chip damage is really awesome. I always said that. Chip damage would be good only on moves with -9 on block. Well, that is good balancing. I admit what you have just proposed. I can get behind that mindset because, okay, you use a slow move, yeah, for chip damage because the slow moves are -9. So you can get jabbed out of it. And afterwards, you need to hold the mix. But you can play it smartly at the end of the round in case it is helpful to you. That makes sense, yeah. It has like a clear drawback and therefore I like it. -9 chip damage and only in heat. Specific moves and only in heat chip damage. You proposed something additionally that I agree with as well. Hey, have you guys fucking take some ayahuasca today or like your neurons are firing? Normally the chat is full of zombies. Respect. These are very good fucking ideas because I can't see anything bad about it. You're right, okay, you have chip damage, but you have it only on specific moves, and those specific moves only get chip in heat. Smart boys. I like it. Keep this up. Mayman says they should make heat so that you have to earn the bar in a round and use it next like pistol rounds. Ah, you mean like Akuma, where he would build the meter and decide where he wants to spend it tactically. You made it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. So, would you say that you want to be able to achieve that in every round? At the end of the round? Or do you want to achieve it slowly, but then maintain it over the rounds and then spend it wherever you see fit? Because wherever you see fit would make it a one-time thing. A one-time thing. In one round, like an install, you can use heat. I think in one round I would prefer one singular round. It would be like Heihachi's install, but just better balanced. And Heihachi would need to lose his install, or he can only use the install one round with his heat. And the next rounds he plays without heat and without install. But then we need to take a look at install, the properties, they make no sense. Like, this install that Heihachi has at the moment is unacceptable. Unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Do you agree with that? That his install is just not okay the way it is, even if it is only one round? Yeah? Okay. You wanna enhance a character where he feels a bit stronger, which is reasonable because it's only one round. But you don't want to enhance the character to an extent where you feel it's unfair. And with Heihachi, you clearly have this feeling that it is just unfair because it objectively is. It's not even a subjective thing. Because I am a Mishima main, I played Heihachi to the highest ranks always. I played Devil Jin, I played Kazuya. And when I say Heihachi this way, I can't respect him. I can't respect him out of the perspective of someone playing him myself and not fighting against him. Because it's not even cool to win with Heihachi like that. You know? What do you think of Kazuya's heat? Unfair? Absolutely. Absolutely. So unfair. Why is it unfair though? It is unfair because the moves that require heat recover it as well. What is this balancing? So you do a hell sweep enhancement, and then when it hits, you get heat back. What's the point of that? At the end of the round, if I hit you with a heat move, I get heat back. And then, let's say I do a hell sweep at the end of the life bar of heat. You know, there's a pixel left. I do hell sweep. You are in a fucked up position. I get my heat back, even though it should deplete. And then I can decide if I do one more time hell sweep, FF2 or down big 1-2. Where is the balancing there? It's like they want to just give the opponent the finishing blow. It's not a nice vibe. Okay, let's keep watching. Future updates will also include adjustments to the amount of chip damage dealt by individual moves. Future balance adjustments. In the next update planned for mid-May, adjustments will include reducing air combo damage and re-evaluating the performance of heat burst. Re-evaluating doesn't tell me how they will evaluate it. Do they think it's too weak? Or do they think it's too strong? Because I think it's too strong. What do you think? Yeah, you evaluate something in order to fix it, obviously. Why would you evaluate it? There is apparently a problem, but I wonder where they see it. Okay, listen, I do believe, like, personally, if I am evaluating now the properties of the heat burst performance, I would come to the conclusion that it is unreasonable that the heat burst can hardly be stepped. Can we all agree on that? Yes or no? You know what, I have a problem with the heat burst mechanic as well, and mechanics in Tekken 8 overall. But this is like, I don't know, man. Many people might disagree with me, but hear me out till the end. Mechanics in Tekken 8 should be homogenized, and character individual moves should be separated so you have individuality. But you can't give individuality in systematic things. And the individuality that I'm talking about is that they make certain characters combo routes in a specific way so that the character's heat burst needs to have such a big hitbox in order to make the combo possible. Now you have the problem that this heat burst will now be used in the neutral without the combo, leading to situations where it is unfair in comparison to the opponent. His system is just stronger. Like, he uses heat burst, you use heat burst, but your heat burst has shit range and his has insane range. Like, that is just a bad game design. Why do you think Brian's heat... Everyone says Brian heat burst. I want you to understand this. Everyone says Brian's heat burst is very, very broken and you hardly can step. Specifically Brian. Why do you think they say Brian? It is because Brian has a combo routes where the heat burst seemingly doesn't even connect. But it still does. And then the combo has 1 trillion wall travel. You know which combos I'm talking about. Like, he throws the opponent to range 3 and presses heat burst. The first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, but this is gonna whiff, no? And then I saw it connect and I was like, what? That is weird. And I think they need to fix that. But this is too much to ask because they need to change the character's combos then. You know, Brian needs to get his combos reworked completely in order to balance the heat burst. Do you understand why it is so hard to fix heat? It is because heat is embedded into the character's move lists and combos, and therefore you need to change both. One doesn't go without the other. If you change the heat burst, the combos are not gonna work anymore. How plus is a heat burst on block? I forgot. +5? 1? 1, okay. Okay, 1. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. You know why that's okay? Because of 2 things. +2 on hit. I'm just talking about on block. First of all, you have a defensive option that can be stepped. If they fix it, obviously. And then you spend a specific part of your meter bar to activate heat. And heat in this game is so valuable that could be the decision factor for losing or winning the round. And then you get a +1 situation on block, which is not so volatile because you can still do everything at +1. It's only 1 frame advantage than neutral. So, I think 1 is okay. Are we liking the notes? I like the notes, you know, I like the notes. But it's a emergency aid, you know, it's like a bandage over your wound, but you're still bleeding, but you're just bleeding slower. Do you know what I mean? Like, the Tekken is dying, and with this band-aid, quickly wrap it up. It just dies a bit slower, and then you can work on the rest quickly in the background. This is how I see it, at least. There's so more they needed to do. Yeah, of course there's more, but as I said, emergency package, so we can survive a little longer, and then they fix more. It's probably the most realistic way to view this, I'll be honest. Will include reducing air combo damage and re-evaluating the performance of heat burst. Additionally, we will continue to review issues that could not be addressed in this update, such as moves that consistently create advantageous situations leading to one-sided matches, attacks with disproportionately high rewards relative to their risk. Moving forward, we remain committed to incorporating player feedback and will focus on resolving cases of overly dominant character performance and interactions that result in one-sided gameplay. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Which do you find cooler, by the way, when we react to stuff like this, or when I use that other overlay with the Kazuya in the background? You know what I mean? Wait, I just show you. This is also a way to do it. I am not sure which one is cooler. Talking characters are getting slaughtered, Meduse. I know, I said that in the beginning of the stream already. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna show you something now, which I wanted to point out. Something positive about Harada. Okay? It's gonna be positive. But not because I have to, it's because it's just objectively positive. I can't deny that it is positive, you know? But some people might not see it, so I want to talk about it. So let's talk. This one is also something I want to talk about. Shinblade. Let's talk about that first, because I didn't understand why he said this. And he didn't answer, so I'm gonna ask you guys. So, watch this Season 2 patch will give people an excuse to come back to Tekken 8, even though it doesn't fix their concerns. I watched those Tekken 5, Tekken 2, Tekken 7 streams, motherfuckers couldn't even complete a damn combo. Come on back home, main. Like, I don't understand what he means with excuse. Like, okay, we said that the game is bad and the patch is bad, and then we stopped playing, and then they listened to us, and they say they try to fix it. Here's a emergency patch. And then if I try the patch, I am using it as an excuse. You think this is right? You know why it don't make sense to me? It is because when we had the patch for the first time and we saw the patch, the Season 2 patch, some of us, including me, said we don't even play this at all. This is horse shit, and I am not gonna play this. Like before the talk and everything, like when they just rolled out a few keynotes, we boycotted, and they said, oh, you didn't even try it yet. And then we said, okay, we try it. We tried it, and it was even worse. Now they make an emergency patch, a hot fix, and we want to try it, and they say, if you try it, you use it as an excuse to come back to Tekken 8. Do you know what I mean with that? I just don't know why he says this. Without attacking him. I didn't use any bad words, nothing. I am chill, all good. I'm just trying to understand why he says this. Oh, another one from yesterday. There was someone in the chat, I think he was black. And he heard me say a sentence when I rewatched my VOD yesterday because I found it funny to read some comments back. I saw him say, like, there was a moment where I said, someone came in with a very shitty take and no arguments and just called us idiots and that I need to touch grass and y'all are just crying. And then I said, oh yeah, of course, when I see y'all, I already know the IQ is below the freezing point. And then this guy wanted to insinuate that I want to say that black people have a low IQ. Just because I said y'all. people that say y'all normally act low vibrational, but it's just an observation of my chat. When you come into my chat, I don't know your skin color. You just use bad like wording. You have no arguments, and you write like ad hominem vibes and like attacks, and y'all are crying, y'all are just dumb, I ain't gonna go all through all of that and stuff like this. And then I say like, okay, I see the pattern here is people that use this word somehow, y'all end up saying nothing most of the time. Is that wrong? I don't see your fucking skin color in the chat. What do they think? I know everyone by name and what their race is. Like, that was astonishing. It was the person yesterday that said, Medusa, you are also very intelligent and you have an accent. Why do you make fun of people that have an accent? They can be intelligent too. And then, like, looking back his older messages, I realized that he wanted to say that I am saying this because I think people that use y'all are black. I was like, damn. Maybe the issue is not on me. Maybe the issue is then on you, because you're reading into something that you think yourself somehow. Because you can't put this on me. I am not seeing your skin color in the chat. I cannot see your skin color in the chat. I can only see behavior and the lingo. And when the lingo and the behavior somehow matches every time, I will say, oh, interesting, people that use this specific words also act weirdly in chat. But I found it interesting to tell you about it. I could have also ignored it and pretended as if it didn't happen, but I just wanted to tell you the perception of people is sometimes so victimized that they are searching for things. You know, they are literally actively searching. It's very interesting. Anyways, now I am gonna go through the next tweet. But it was a funny kind of story from yesterday in chat, I ain't gonna lie. Could be like even a short for YouTube, just such an interesting fucking situation. Okay, so the next message is about Harada. And this is one of the first like positive messages that I have like stated, honestly, because there was nothing positive. Someone came to me and said in chat, like in my comment section, yeah, what have you done? You are only dooming. You did not bring any positivity, only negativity. And I was like, my answer was just straightforward. If the situation is negative, my response will resemble that. That's not so hard to understand. And when there is a situation which is positive, my response will resemble that also. And what I see here is a positive situation. This person here wanted to virtue signalize a little bit. Part of team casual measure. Yeah. He, him. Okay. And the brother, he, him, has said, Harada Tekken. Michael Murray, thank you for listening to the community feedback despite the unwarranted backlash. Despite the unwarranted backlash. When the backlash was not warranted this time, when will it ever be? When will it ever be warranted? I saw this and I was mad. When I saw this, I was mad. I can't lie. I mean, there's a reason why it has 80 likes and 300k views. Despite obviously Harada like quote retweeting it then later. But if it was not negative, people would agree with him. But from 300k, 80 likes is like very bad. And then I was like, okay, well, damn, now they are gonna victimize themselves and shit again. And then Harada posted this, and I was so astonished. And I was like, okay, if I get mad when Murray acts like a bitch and blocks people for disagreeing with him, and him, the polar opposite, he's getting glazed and he says that he doesn't deserve it, then I need to signalize to him that I appreciate that he does that. Because he writes, I personally do not think that this backlash is at all unjustified. So, I personally do not think that this backlash is at all unjustified, is denying the victim role and saying, no, they have a point, and now we will take accountability. What I love, because he says then further, I recognize that it is a natural occurrence and we have no choice but to respond by continuing to update. And this is how it should be, because the situation is negative, therefore the response will be negative, and in order to balance out the response and turn it positive again, they will make a new answer in order to see if they can shift now the vibe, which is absolutely fine. But then there is like mediators in the community that say like, hey guys, your backlash is unjustified, even though it is, because they want to virtue signalize towards Bandai Namco that they are one of the quote-unquote good guys, and they will dilute the conversation for everyone else, kind of, in an echo chamber. Because there is people that take advantage of that, like Michael Murray. They will snipe out individual tweets like this that glaze him and write then only under that comment, yeah, I know there's a lot of people that liked season 2 and stuff like that, like Murray. We have seen his interactions. We have seen how he cherry picks positive comments and ignores everyone else or blocks. And this is the polar opposite. And therefore, he needs to get amplified, that we say like, hey, this is the direction the community managers and the conversation between us and Bandai Namco should be. And not the way it is with Murray. Okay, now we're gonna look, alright. I will be the first one to call out when they fuck up, because you already know, I do that. This is the right direction. Acknowledgement of the status quo and accountability. Acceptance of wrongdoings is the first step towards fixing a problem. You have to realize and admit it, which they have done. I will try again. It is comparable to someone that is addicted, but gaslights himself into saying, I am not addicted. If you say that, you cannot fix your addiction. Same with them. They fucked up. If they pretend they didn't fuck up, they will not unfuck it. I know. Weird terminology, but this is how I talk. So now we can go and watch what the other content creators have said. Who do you want me to start with? Shall we start with the main man? Yeah, you guys want the main man always. Alright. There's two things here. There's two things. Maximilian Dude visits the main man's chat and they talk about season 2's failure. The main man reads emergency balance patch Tekken 8's future. Which one do you want? Okay, chronologically, it makes sense when I listen to him talk about Season 2's failure.
Do you mind if
I think there's no point to talk about his shilling anymore because I already did that in like detail. So let's just move past that for now.
I shamelessly post this conversation to YouTube and I clickbait with your name like a shameless, dishonorable YouTuber? I promise I won't use your face in the thumbnail like this. No problem. Oh, okay, cheers. Thanks. No, Max, no. No, I completely agree. That's what I did. I think I was the only person who did that with Season 2 patch. The reality of the Season 2 patch was that someone on the dev team is doing a good job. Someone is messing everything up. On a system level, you got good changes on the game. Like they buffed sidestep, they reduced chip damage, you have a punish UI. System level, they did good changes. But then someone else, or the same person, I don't know, there's no insight into a process, but someone else overtuned half a roster. Just clearly OP attacks. Sidesteps are better, but here are 59,000 homing unbeatable attacks. They had the idea that we are going to make Tekken 8 more aggressive because it was boring watching Tekken 7 esports sometimes. Like Arslan and Nia just backdashing. There's too little interaction.
With good changes, he probably means Requiem and stuff, because when he talked about Season 2, he pointed out that specific moves got nerfed.
Backdash is too strong.
And that they implemented better sidestepping, and they implemented sidestep into the foreground. Yeah, but since they overbuff everything else, I do get his talking points. Like, he's gonna say, like, yeah, they buff everything, and then make it impossible to sidestep, and then they buff the sidestep, but you can't use it. It feels like there is two people on the development team. One guy does good things, the other guy shits on it.
So we're gonna make a more aggressive game, and that's also going to be more pleasing for an audience watching our game. It's going to be more interaction between the players, it's more dynamic, and there's gonna be more effects on the screen. Not everyone that watches on eSport understands the intricate gameplay of Dota or Tekken. You know, you need a lot of hours to understand what's going on the screen. But everyone understands flashy gameplay. This is how I think they motivated the aggressive nature of Tekken 8. Then the game drops, and we have Season 1, and the hardcore community go, this is too aggressive for us. It is too aggressive. And
that is very important that he mentions that. The hardcore community is basically the Tekken community. Because I know that people don't like when I say this, but I don't see the casuals as essentially the FGC. I see them as people that play Tekken. But FGC has a competitive part to it, and that's why the people that played Tekken 8 from the competitive standpoint, regardless of their level, but with that mindset, did not like Tekken 8. And normally in a FGC, in a fighting game, the community is in the foreground. And it went into the background because the focus went on to the people that are outside of that community. And that obviously got reflected in the gameplay.
That's what people say for pretty much a year. You need to tone this down. And when they start toning things down, homing throws go. They remove heat dash on block, doesn't wall crush anymore at the wall, so you get +5. You don't get +18. But then comes Season 2. They say, prior to Tekken Talk Live, that we have taken in the criticism now. We are going to focus more on defense, but in the most confused way, as I stated before, they show on a system level buffs to defense, but then they make the characters so overly buff that they completely counteract all the buffs to defense. I think there's like an identity crisis on the developer team with Tekken 8. Tekken 8 beta all the way to the end of Season 1, things made sense, they refined the gameplay, toned down the bullshit, it was close to being great, the developers were cooking. Suddenly it's a different game, something doesn't line up. You are completely correct, Max. They were on a great trajectory, but do you know what the reality is of a Season 2 patch? If you roll out the patch again, but you remove all of the buffs and new attacks, you have a super good Tekken 8. If they just keep the nerfs and the system changes, the game is so much better than it's ever been. Without putting out the huge fire in the forest, they're adding additional fires. They negate each other. You can't buff sidesteps and give everyone a homing plus attack. They can't coexist. That's the problem. They want both things. They want a more aggressive Tekken 8 and a more defensive Tekken 8 in the same patch. It felt like two different teams with two completely different goals were working at.
You know what the problem is with Tekken 8 overall? The mindset is to fix everything by buffing something else. And even buffs to defense after some time makes no sense if the offense is so broken, because then the defense becomes broken. You know, heat burst, tracking and so much. It's a defensive move that turns offensive. And a power crush heat engager into full combo is a defensive move that turns offensive because you keep buffing everything in order to counteract each other. But it doesn't work like that. It's just like the human body. Let's take a male, you know, a man. He has like, let's say 80% testosterone and 20% estrogen. That's normal. When you inject this male now with testosterone and he is now on 200%, without injecting estrogen, the estrogen also goes up. Because this is what they do with the game. They just jack everything up to the maximum. And that's why we have now a situation where instead of actually just nerfing and reducing the damage, they buffed the health. And because they buffed the health, it will add new problems. Because buffing health doesn't only affect the combos, it actually affects the neutral and the poking and everything else. And that's the reason why I am afraid. Because the same way they thought when they made Season 2 that this patch is gonna make it better, making it the exact opposite, I think the Band-Aid is not actually Band-Aid, but it's just gas that they pour over an open wound. Can you follow my train of thought why I don't like buffing HP? And then also I want to state to you one thing. I have stated before that Bandai Namco ask us for input, and whenever we say something they do the opposite, right? So estrogen, female hormone. I will show you something now, something interesting. Because they have done it again. You know, with this HP thing, they have done it again. And I can prove it this time to you. This is the friend, the tweet of a friend. Okay? The tweet of this friend, it is Spag's friend. Spag's friend is called Go Sane. Go Sane made a list about things that they should do and they should not do. Michael Murray commented on a specific line with "I see it." I show you the line. Please do not, and I repeat, do not listen to the requests of increasing HP. You're going to undermine poking even more than it is right now. game has already lost its identity with this patch, and doing that will just confirm it. Michael Murray with the eyes, and the rest is history. Increase the maximum health value to help mitigate situations where matches are decided. So you can now never to me say ever again that I am reading too much into it, or this like they have a mirror and they do always the opposite. It sounds too crazy or something like that, and it's a coincidence and all these things. This is now in your face, and more precise I can't show it. And if you don't believe me, then just go and on Go Saint's original tweet. And this is why I will not let off of the notion Bandai Namco asks the community what to do in order to find out what they can do in the opposing way. It's quite astonishing. So now we take away from this, okay, we say we don't want health more, would they give us more? We say we don't want to have everyone a stance mix-up character. They bring out Heihachi DLC and Lydia stance. Okay. We say we don't like coin flip 50-50 is too much, they add more. We say that we like to backdash, they nerf backdash. We say we like sidestepping, they give everyone mid homing plus frame. We say that characters lose identity because everyone has insane wall travel and they give everyone more. We say that... Bro, we say that we like characters with execution, then they take characters like Law and stuff and give them auto DSS and Kazuya auto electric. Like, it is so many points that it is not possible for them to not take into consideration what we have said, because it is always the opposing thing. Is there anyone that says that this is not real or I am reading too much into it? I would really like to hear your argument after hearing how I presented mine. Since this like notion of tinfoil heads gets thrown around pretty quickly for people that hear something that is out of their perception because they don't have the information at hand. Yeah, just use reverse psychology. I have said 4 months ago, and my Twitch viewers are my people. They know that I said that because they watch me for hours. I said, guys, test this out, but this is impossible to do because it would require the entire community to do it. Whatever you like, say you don't like it. Whatever you don't like, say you like it. And then see that you will end up with the game of your dreams. They do listen to us, yeah. In a specific way. Then one would come to the conclusion, but why would they do that? And the why I have explained before in a stream one time. I can say it again. I think there's an agenda going by a specific shareholders that have Bandai Namco at their balls to turn Tekken 8 into a gacha game and change the target demographic from a competitive FGC into Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 4 or Super Smash 8 or Pokken 8. And then milk everyone of that new demographic because they are impressionable and easy to monetize off. With Tekken Shop and DLC and outfits and like funny little hats and all these things. And that got reaffirmed after I heard that Tekken 8 will eventually come out for the Switch too. And this is how I get to this conclusion, you know? I don't come to this conclusion in a vacuum, you know? Yeah, I know Pokken. I've seen it. It looks the same, yeah. Who do you think is in the balancing team of Tekken 8 at the moment? Soulcalibur, Pokken, and Yeah, literally, Pokken people are in the balancing team at the moment. Didn't you know that? We already have showed this. Mario Kart. Yeah. But when I started to talk about the individual people in the Bandai Namco balancing team, people started to say that I shouldn't attack individuals. This is their job, and I'm threatening their livelihood and stuff like that. And I'm like, bro, I am maybe threatening the livelihood of one person because he does a bad job, but he is destroying it for thousands of people. And yeah, it's like victimization again, and yeah. Big if, they finally turn the game around, would that mean your theory is invalid? Not necessarily, because when the people's pushback is strong enough, then they cannot pull it through, since the power is always within the people. When it hurts their wallet, they need to back down. And that's what you're seeing right now. But why I get so upset if there's some mediators in the community that defend Bandai Namco in this time is because they are destroying this opportunity for us to push them back into a better direction and not get rid of us. Yeah. This is just how I see things, you know, I see it very deep. And some people will say this is too deep, you shouldn't put yourself into it so much, blah blah blah, and don't talk about it and stuff. But I'm like, bro, this game is like one of my biggest hobbies. I love it, and I don't want to miss this in the future. And this is a Tekken stream or a YouTube channel or wherever you're watching. And what am I supposed to talk about on a Tekken channel? I'm gonna talk about Tekken. So why talk about it half-assed? Why not really go deep into it? Because if I want to do it half-assed, I can also not do it at all. I will eventually upset a few people, or will say something that is too far away from their perception, where they will automatically equate what I say to being dumb. But that's something that I'm willing to take, really. That doesn't matter. I hope I answered your question conclusively. Alright. Let's go with Mustache Man.
Pleased with season 1, where vision was focused. For 48 hours, I just chose to not give an opinion on season 2 because I wanted to see everything. But the more I saw, this. Either it's two people, I likened it to two firefighters show up to a raging fire. One is pouring water from his hose on the fire, but the other guy is just going gasoline. Yeah, I think a lot of, you know, hardcore gamers, they forget what casuals are. You know, the Tekken community, it's so widespread by like elitist players to call someone who's reached Garyu rank a casual.
Okay. Question to the chat. Is a Garyu rank a casual or not? Garyu. In Tekken 8, obviously. Garyu doesn't exist in Tekken 7. It's called Genbu, no? I'm not sure. I think it's called Genbu and now Garyu. Not a casual. Garyu is not casual. Bro, you know what? I need a poll for this. Because for me, yes. What makes a casual? A casual makes someone that casually plays and sometimes tries out ranked. And then like gets like a small rank and is content with that. And either he pushes further and then comes out of this casual vibe because he pushes. Or he just stays there and vibes out and then he's a casual. Being casual doesn't only mean you are on the couch and you play story mode and then you call it a day. Heh? Nowadays there's so many games that you can play the story mode and then can casually also play online. You can play a game online casually. If I play FIFA online, I am still a casual. I'm not a fucking pro or something like that. I'm still a casual player. So, I think that the threshold for getting Garyu in this game is so low that the effort required to get there is equivalently low. And that's why I can say, you know what? I would say Garyu is pretty much a casual, yeah. Let's poll it. This is just my explanation. Maybe you have a different one. Garyu, casual or not. So they are gonna probably say, yeah, a Garyu is someone that only plays story mode. I know the talking points, that's why I say it. Garyu casual or not? Yes. And no. 1 minute. I pull it into the chat here. Garyu casual, yes 40, no 9. Yes 41, no 10. Sorry YouTube boys, but I can't do it for you. Maybe in the future. I need more mods for my YouTube. Do you like YouTube streams actually? Never do it. Okay, most people say Garyu is casual. I do agree with them. But it is not so wild to me either. If he wants to say that Garyu is like heavy, then yeah, minor. Do it. Oh shit, the buzzing noise is back. I fucked up.
Someone who's played a lot of online Tekken is not a casual. A casual is someone who buys, like you said, a casual is someone who buys the game, plays it for a weekend. Maybe plays it with their brother and sister or a friend for a weekend in the couch. And they play story mode. And they watch the endings and they go, oh, that's fun. And maybe they customize a character a little bit. And then they're done. And then they move on to the next big AAA game they want to play. You know, that's a casual. Why would you even with a game like Tekken try to appeal to casuals? Because in my opinion, you've already done that with story mode and the graphics. You did your part. But now, my god, who are the people who are going to stay with your product? It's people like me.
Yo, is it buzzing or is it better now?
Been there for
yo, I think the buzzing is gone.
Focus more on us and the game we want to play. But I gotta say, Max, hasn't this happened a little bit to Street Fighter as well? I just feel like with Bison, I was so surprised to see that his scissor kick is no longer a charge. You just do a core circle forward. And then his super is not a charge either. It's just double core circle forward. And then drive rush, you know, on Oki to constantly force throw strike mix up. I don't know. I feel like I see a little bit of that as well, like appealing a little bit more to, well, quote-unquote casuals. Yeah, it's happening a little bit with Street Fighter, it seems. But yeah, it's not nearly as problematic as what has happened in Tekken. No, I agree. They added a lot of nuance to Street Fighter as well, and I'm a fan of a drive system. DI, drive rush. It gets a little bit overwhelming sometimes for me when it's just drive rush mix up into drive rush mix up, because the cool part about Street Fighter to me is when you're just walking in the neutral and you're looking to anti-air or like projectiles, or I feel like on certain characters drive rush is just in one frame getting in someone's face, and I'm not sure I'm a huge fan. But I still like what drive rush does in a lot of situations though as well. But drive reversal, yeah, it's cool. It's cool mechanics, yeah. But what I dislike is also the lack of insight on Bandai Namco's part into the Tekken process, what they're doing with the game. They never say anything. I don't know if Capcom is better with that. Oh no, Street Fighter is a hardcore game. Of course it's not a casual game. But the thing with Tekken is like, can you think of a more overwhelming game to pick up as a beginner than Tekken?
You know what I do see a little bit now? Ah shit man, this fucking buzzing noise, bro. My new battery is gonna come, but it's gonna take some time. Fuck. Maybe tomorrow it will be there, or the day after tomorrow actually. Never mind, Amazon is quick. Let him talk, I will see if I can fix it. Yo. Hallo, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry guys, but this like fucking situation with my battery for the camera is annoying. It makes like this static noise, as you can hear. Do you need my picture? If I just turn my camera off, it will be gone. Fuck my fuck the fucking picture, bro. You know how I look. Okay, now it is fine. You see? It is immediately fixed. Immediately. You don't hear the video? Oh, oh shit. Okay, now. Again.
Projectiles, or I feel like on certain characters drive rush is just in one frame getting in someone's face, and I'm not sure I'm a huge fan. But I still like what drive rush does in a lot of situations though as well. But drive reversal, yeah, it's cool. It's cool mechanics, yeah. But what I dislike is also the lack of insight on Bandai Namco's part into the Tekken process, what they're doing with the game. They never say anything. I don't know if Capcom is better with that. Oh no, Street Fighter is a hardcore game. Of course it's not a casual game. But the thing with Tekken is like, can you think of...
You know what I think what they did with Tekken as a franchise? They saw a market that they wanted to tap in, because that market is like empty kind of. They wanted to create... You know how you have all these Nintendo games and they are kind of low quality slop, but like kind of enjoyable party games? They wanted to make such a game with heavy graphics. You know, that you can milk the people with. You know, it looks better than the opponent, like the other franchises. You can like have this incentive for good graphics. I heard that so much in the beginning, good graphics. And yeah, like a polished version of Smash. But they misjudged that the reason why these people play Smash is because of the characters. You know, the Nintendo characters and stuff. There's like, it's a different type of culture.
have a more overwhelming game to pick up as a beginner than Tekken. That's a great quality about Street Fighter, in my opinion, that after just an hour, I feel like you're playing against the player, you know, it's mind games.
It's like you fuse Smash
Tekken,
with a
it takes,
gacha
like,
game.
weeks or months, months of playing against the character, and then getting to the meat and potatoes of the gameplay, and now you're playing mind games with the other person. It takes forever in Tekken, like. But that's why I've also felt like Tekken is it's an amazing game, amazing nuanced game, but it's the cheesiest fighting game out there. It's so easy to cheese in Tekken. The sad reality of this patch is that so much is fixed. Like Brian, for example, if you just look at his nerfs, they're amazing. His Requiem, Korsoko Forward 1+2, is no longer a homing invincible attack. The thing with Brian is that, you know, in Season 1, he's playing Street Fighter. You can't sidestep him. In Season 2, you can step him. He no longer has the best neutral in the game. But then what did they do? They give him a super dumb full crouch mix-up that is busted and also doesn't fit the character identity. If you just roll out Season 2 again, remove all of the new moves and buffs, you have the best Tekken 8 so far. Well, the depression.
So basically, he is saying do all the positive like defense things of Tekken 8 Season 2 into the game and revert everything else, which is basically what we said also. Like no one wants Bandai Namco to add more mistakes with buffing HP and everything to just like iron out their other mistakes and then like adding new problems to it. Like it is, I hope I will be wrong, you know, I hope I will be wrong, I dearly hope this, but when the patch rolls out and then it is like somehow nonsensical in the neutral, then yeah, I mean, then you have a new fucking thing that you need to fix. Now you need to fix every single move again, like every single one of them, from the pokes to the like medium attacks to the heavy attacks. Everything is gonna be fried. I actually agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that also. There's nothing we can say here. I think he is right, and we have stated the same thing, so therefore I agree. Let's go now into what he's saying about the patch overall. Like this is now the main man where he speaks about Season 2. This is the main man where he speaks about Season 2.1. And I didn't see this also. Let's see.
Oh my god, okay. This is the first huge W I'm reading. I wonder what the actual number is though. Because this is where I hope they don't go, reduced by 2 frames. Now plus 15. Haha! And it's like, you know, this has to come down pretty significantly. What's up guys, main man Sui here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always, and dear lord, there are patch notes. I woke up to patch notes and YouTube notification from YouTubers going, Tekken is saved, oh my god. I'm just like, okay.
Really? Okay. What is your timeline saying? Mine is not saying Tekken is saved. Mine is saying why did they buff everyone's HP instead of nerf every character? You tell me your timeline, I don't know, maybe everyone's Twitter is different. Is everyone like happy? Don't they say they nerfed poking and stuff? Okay.
I knew we were getting an emergency patch, but from what I heard, they were just going to fix Paul's bugged Hammer of the Gods, which, if you don't know, on block gives him guaranteed damage, a lot of damage, and then Jack's 2-1 jump attack. Roar, roar, but links, it chains into itself. Roar, 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 and it's like plus 1,000,000. A million chip damage, no counterplay. What were they smoking? I have no clue. Must be some good stuff. Someone told me in chat now that they buffed the health bar. More health, and I'm just like, okay. So, yeah, without further ado, as you say in Texas, let's just take a look at this. So, Tekken 8 Season 2 Future Balance Adjustment Policy. Okay. The development team acknowledges that following the Season 2 update, the overall game balance has shifted too heavily towards offense. It's super nice to hear it, though. Oh, and I also want to give a shout out to my boys GGG. Is that what they're called? The Path of Exile devs? I have a friend of mine who religiously plays Path of Exile. I don't pay it at all. I don't play it at all. But he told me they also had a disastrous patch not long ago. Like a week ago or something. And those fucking developers, within a few days, roll out patch notes on a patch to sort of fix almost everything. And the developers also do, like, constantly sit-downs with streamers, YouTubers, and players to talk about their game. And I'm just like, holy shit, those guys seem cool. But that's gotta be rare, developers doing that. So, you know, those of you who play Path of Exile, that sounds like fucking amazing stuff. But is it nice to hear, you know, Bandai Namco can be a bit stubborn sometimes. So is it nice to hear them say this? Thank you, it's pretty fucking nice. And again, I feel like they sort of needed a little bit of a reality check because, you know, when you're sitting on the Tekken Talk Live, as I've said 100 times, you say, here are these amazing sidesteps, and then here's King's homing giant swing, and Zafina's 4-meter homing that's +4 on block and wall splats. You just go like, what is going on here? Are you even paying attention to what you're saying? So we sincerely apologize that the actual balance changes did not align with the development intentions and policy previously communicated to players. We deeply regret not being able to address the improvements and adjustments that the community had hoped for. Okay, well, certainly taking accountability. I just hope it's reflected in the changes as well. Moving forward, we are committed to distinguishing between issues that can be addressed quickly and issues that require more time and community feedback for proper review. Yeah, but that's going to be in-depth character changes. What, in my opinion, just symbolizes Season 2. They fix the Season 1 problem of Brian. They fix that now you can play Tekken against Brian. It's not Street Fighter anymore. Requiem is not homing. You can step right now. You can step right. You can step Incinerator. You can step Requiem. Even in Heat, you can step his Requiem now. If you're stepping and he happens to tag you with Cannonball, it no longer gives him a free follow-up into Oki. It just resets neutral now, and you don't take that much damage. And I'm just like, great. You know, I love seeing this on Brian. But then what do they add? They add a full crouch mix-up, you know, Fisherman Slam, or is it a Hatchet that's -12 on block, wall splats at the wall. The Hatchet is treated like a Heat Smash, meaning you can't low parry it. Why does the game do that when it's -12? And it's not even a Heat Smash. That's Season 2 in a nutshell. Hey, sidesteps better, but here are a million OP moves. Brian, in a nutshell, to me, symbolizes, on a micro level, Season 2 macro. In this coming update, so apparently this drops April 17th, I think. I see someone in my chat here say that Brian's new Hatchet tracks both sides. It doesn't. It's like his normal Hatchet. You step it to the left. But the problem is he mixes it with a Fisherman Slam that kills you on hit, is -10 on block, and that move, however, tracks to his right shoulder.
Bro, listen, Brian is so volatile. I swear to God, listen, I thought I am gonna play Tekken 8 today for the first time, Season 2. But you know what? Allow it, bro. I don't wanna play today, fuck it.
So if you step left to beat the Hatchet, you can eat Fisherman Slam. So in terms of sidestepping,
please just once, bro. Okay, but not today, bro. I feel like I don't think I have the mental resilience, bro, to fucking go through this fucking dog shit, man.
50-50. So it's very fun stuff. Increase the maximum health value to help mitigate situations where matches are decided through overly one-sided momentum. This seems to be a response to what has been, you know, the Tekken 8 bread and butter gameplay.
What is with Brian talk? What is with Brian talk? What do you mean with that? What is with Brian talk? Do you want to know why we're talking about Brian specifically, or? The main man is obsessed with Brian. Nah, bro, listen. This time I need to disagree. He had some shitty fucking garbage dog shit takes about Brian in the past. Yeah, Brian, he's not so strong, blah blah blah. Someone needs to be broken. Someone needs to be S tier. Do you want to see Alisa instead of Brian, this and that? Oh, why do you complain about Brian? Yeah, what about Yoshi? What about Nina? Blah blah blah. And then he said in the beginning of season 1, yeah, this head shit, season 2, oh yeah, this head shit is actually not so strong. I can't see people using this. Why is it a problem? Because it wall splits. That was obviously dog shit. But now he is saying that this is broken, and how is this now being obsessed with Brian? He was obsessed with him in a positive way. Now he is saying that the character is broken. So I need to say then this is good, no? Because he is right. He's right. Brian is dog shit. But he doesn't only talk about Brian. Some characters, they are also more subjected to talks. When specific people talk about those characters, they become like trendy to talk about. There's so many characters in this game, but like Brian ducked the allegations for a long time, and that frustrated some people, and now it is getting expressed like way more, because Brian obviously is not the only broken dumb fucking character in season 2. You have like, bro, every character is somehow dumb.
Not unique to Tekken 8, but Tekken 8 has certainly exasperated it. It's
Season 2 Brian isn't that scary anymore, to be fair, and this is the argument that can only come from a Brian player. You are a Brian player. Let's be honest, Balrog. Yeah, but the thing is with like this analogy, you guys are saying, yeah, Brian is not so broken in comparison to other broken shit. Kazuya is not so broken in comparison to other broken shit. And then continuously signalize to Bandai Namco that if you want to keep up with the rest of the cast, your character needs to get buffed again. And that's why continuously, obviously, they buff. How about we just ask for nerfs instead of looking what our characters don't have in comparison to the other broken bullshit? That's just annoying in my opinion.
launch opponent, infinite, I mean, you know, with double...
Like, just get it into your system, like, as a community, to start to talk about nerfs. Start to talk about what the characters should not have, and not what your character doesn't have, you know?
Tailspin available, and double bounce, and heat burst being available every single round. And with all of the combo buffs, have you seen Jin's new combos? Everyone takes you to the wall, and now they bust their heat, and now as you take 1,000,000 damage, and now as you're waking up at the wall, you're going to have to take a heat 50-50 most likely, and it's probably gonna mean game over. I think this is to mitigate the escalating power creep combo damage, and also try and give a little bit more breathing room for players, and not have every round be you got launched, bagoosh, 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 wall, mix up, dead. I'm assuming we're going to try and mitigate that situation a little bit. I mean, sounds good in theory, but I'm gonna have to see how it plays out. This is a huge nerf to my main, Brian. You should die to one combo, what the fuck? Dick, 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 dick. In light of the current damage environment trending toward inflation. Just like the global economy. Where's my tariffs? We need tariffs in Tekken. Driven by offense-heavy game balance and increased aerial combo damage, yes, the maximum health value will be increased. This adjustment is intended to ease situations where matches are too easily decided by one-sided momentum. So, okay, so that is basically exactly what I just said. Gradual adjustments to overly high reward moves. So these are the god moves, basically. This update addresses the overall inflation of attack strength and combo damage by implementing adjustments that can be done quickly to moves that provide excessive reward. We recognize this is a game-wide issue. Good. I'm so happy you say that, because if they had stopped at just fixing Hammer of the Gods and Jack's jumping orangutan rushdown, I'm just, you know, you would have a massive problem. We plan to continue reviewing and tuning these aspects progressively. Very good. So basically we're saying here that we're going to try and fix the overall nature with this patch, you know, everything they can in terms of quick band-aid fixes. And then look towards the future and we can get an additional larger rebalancing of the characters. This is the way I interpret what we're saying. Examples of adjustments included in this update. Balance adjustments to high performance move can repeatedly create advantageous situations and lead to one-sided gameplay. Are you talking about Jack 8 here? No, it's fucking Lee! Can we nerf that motherfucker at some point? Why can't he still do damage? His while standing 2-3, it still does like 60 damage when he launches me. I mean, I know it used to do 130, but it still does 60. I don't know. If it does 45, I'll be happy. And make it launch punishable on block as well. Adjustments to moves with disproportionately high reward compared to their risk in...
I think just from the logic of it, when Bandai Namco always does the opposite of everything, and we say that we want buffs for Lee, he might get nerfed.
Ensuring fairer risk-reward balance. Well, you know, that should be the name of a game in Tekken. Rebalancing the offensive and defensive aspect of a heat system. Currently,
my camera is fucked up, bro. I can't use it. I can use it tomorrow again.
System are considered too great. The following adjustments have been made. Revised damage scaling when using heat dash to suppress combo damage inflation. Oh, so now when you heat dash to end the combo into a final attack, it's going to be super scaled. So that could honestly lead to people not even using heat dash like that anymore. Adjusted frame advantage on hit for heat engagers. This, oh my god, okay. This is the first huge W I'm reading. Adjusted frame advantage on hit for heat engagers. For those of you who don't know, when you land a heat engager now on your opponent, you get that little...
Can I ask you guys a very honest question with this, like, buffing the HP? Do you think that this patch overall is gonna bring more net positives or more net negatives? Because I am afraid that they are now implementing more like bad things that they need to fix because they changed the HP. How could we know? Well, I already explained that buffing HP is gonna nerf poking, and it's gonna make a lot of things unreasonable in the neutral. Risk rewards will be out of the window. Everyone is just gonna use like launchers and stuff and hard 50-50 all the time because you can survive, but you can't do damage with chip, like with poking, you know? They would need to individually buff poking in order to make poking sensical in Season 2. The way this is going right now is like poking is gonna lose its value. Like even more.
That scene that lasts a second where they back roll and you run into them, the screen goes...
It will probably be 5 HP points. I don't think so, bro. I don't think so. It's gonna be like maybe 20-30 HP, bro. Because you can't nerf the combo damage by giving 5 HP. The characters make so much fucking damage. Like, 5 HP is laughable, bro. Maybe we get 200 HP. I really don't know. How much HP do we have right now? Status quo. How much do we have? The number I have not in my head. 180. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if we have 200 to 210 HP. And maybe 220 HP because Bandai Namco is on crack. So, I don't know, man.
And the aggressor has 17 frames of advantage, leaving no room to defend. It's just take a guess, that's it. Maintaining benefits for the attacker while allowing the defender more opportunities to respond. I wonder what the actual number is, though, because this is where I hope they don't go, reduced by 2 frames, now plus 15, haha! And it's like, you know, this has to come down pretty significantly. You know, if you put it at plus 8, could be pretty decent, I think. Because then, you know, if Akasia wants to do like forward 3 or hell sweep, you can easily step that stuff. And plus 8 is still enough to get some advantage, right? Additionally, adjustments have been made to chip damage as follows. They've reduced it even more. Reduced additional chip damage during heat. Change the system so that moves which already deal chip damage do not receive extra chip damage while in heat state. Oh, so when Claudio does a while running 2 on you, you take a lot of chip, you know, in neutral. But so when he's in heat, he will not deal additional damage on top of original chip damage of while running 2. Okay, I like that. Future updates will also include adjustments to the amount of chip damage dealt by individual moves. Oh, okay, so they want to tone down chip in general. Thank you. You know what I've been thinking? I feel like chip should almost exclusively be in heat state. I don't know if I like the idea in the end that Claudio in his neutral state, not even in heat, if you just choose to block while running 2s over and over, because you're so afraid of back 1, and you're willing to eat some lows, right? Because it's scary ducking against Claudio, because he has a huge hop kick as well. I don't like the idea of just blocking those. You know, he gets plus 6 or something, which he always gets. But I take chip damage in quite significant amounts. He's already getting plus 6 on block. To open up my guard, shouldn't he have to use his lows? I just don't like the idea of while running 2 damaging me to such a high degree when I'm just blocking a move that's plus 6, you know. So I'm just saying, if they really want chip in the game, it could be heat exclusive, maybe. Why not? In the next update planned for mid-May, adjustments will include reducing air combo damage. Oh shit, okay, and re-evaluating the performance of heat burst. Wait, you know, when I see this in the same sentence, we're gonna reduce air combo damage and re-evaluate the performance of heat burst. When I see this in the same sentence, I get hopeful, and imagine they removed the heat burst's ability to bound, and it was now simply a defensive get off me button. Because when you look at combos right now in Tekken, you're like, do we need 2 bounds? So that's the tornado, and that is the heat burst. They are both bounds. On top of that, you have 2 tailspins per combo. Like, it's gotten really excessive. So if you removed the bound ability of the heat burst, it would be a more interesting move. And boom, you get significantly shorter combos. And it would alleviate this air combo damage and wall travel. But I have no clue what this means. We'll see. Additionally, we will continue to review issues that could not be addressed in this update, such as moves that consistently create advantageous situations leading to one-sided matches, so broken moves. Attacks with disproportionately high reward relative to the risks of broken moves. Moving forward, we will remain committed to incorporating player feedback and will focus on resolving cases.
To be honest, when TMM stops chilling, he starts cooking with his takes. Yeah, that's why we are upset with him, because we like him actually, like we always used to like him, and we get upset when we know that he knows, but he pretends if he doesn't and then says the opposites. That is the fucking problem. We know he is actually, like, internally he knows the script, but he doesn't say it, and that's annoying. He will deny it though, but it's just the truth.
Of overly dominant character performance and interactions that result in one.
And I'm happy that he says it now, I guess.
Right. You know, there's a lot of people talking now about a mod for Tekken that removes heat. I haven't taken a look at it. People have mentioned it in my chat. And I said pretty early on with Season 2 that you now have a game that is more fun to play without heat. So why is that? It's because with heat in Season 2, basically every character now goes, if they didn't do it before, they do it now. They overwhelm you with absurd bullshit mix-ups. You know, it's that's the name of the game in Season 2. They wanted heat to be real strong, and they got it. But I just felt like it's so overwhelming now that the game is more fun to play without heat. And honestly, when I played Street Fighter, I just felt like they were doing an interesting thing. You know your drive meter in Street Fighter is always there, but when you want to do the really big damage, you have to build your normal, like, what's it called? Super meter, super gauge? You have to build that over time, and it goes from 0 to 3. And when you're low health, now it incorporates some form of rage effect, and it goes CA. I think it's called like critical art, and now it does the most damage. So if you want to get huge damage in Street Fighter, you gotta build it up over time, over the rounds, and then you sort of earn it. And then combined with having low health, now you get the maximum output, right? Whereas I feel like it would be probably more fun and would lead to a more interesting game if maybe heat was earned in Tekken. I'm not the first one to say it, but when you stop and think about it, it would be kind of cool because then certain rounds would be played completely without that resource. It would be a completely new look for Tekken 8 that would resemble more classic grounded Tekken. And you wouldn't see heat bursts.
One question, chat. I can't remember this, but when was the time where in Tekken 7 HP got buffed? And how much was it, and how much did it get buffed to? It already happened once. It already happened once. Only 5 HP. Okay, did the people like it, or did they dislike it, or didn't they care? I think 5 HP was like, back then, huge, but it mattered in Tekken 7. But 5 HP in Tekken 8 don't do dog shit. 5 HP, bro, in Tekken 8 makes fucking no fucking difference, bro. So, this is gonna be fun, you know, to see how much they will actually buff it.
Or heat engagers. And then maybe in the second round, Arslan has built enough meter that his heat bar is full. And then the commentators go, oh shit, now Arslan can use that heat. We know how strong heat is. But he had a poor first round. He did a bad Counter-Strike pistol round, you know, so he couldn't buy his AK or whatever. You know, that's how other esports competitive games have balanced it. You know, you did well the first round, and now you earned that resource. It would really alleviate this problem also of, like, you know, launch into double bound, into wake up, heat at the wall. It would make it so that not every round is the exact same. Oh, first round, it's the pistol round. You know, no heat resource. You know, it's just grounded Tekken. And then maybe round 2, round 3... someone has built that meter and now they can pop it. And now heat would feel more unique, I think. You know, like now he can pop it, and it would be more of a strategic element as well. Like, when am I going to use my heat? Because now it's a valuable resource. It's not there at all times. Love a pistol round analogy. Now, I thought about this, and I'm just like, that's an interesting thing about Counter-Strike. They start every round with just the guns, right? And now whoever wins this fucking round is gonna go into a huge advantage the second round, probably to the point where they're guaranteed will win the next couple of rounds. Most likely. Because now they go in with the fucking assault rifles, right? And the other guys go, oh, we still have our Glocks. And when you felt that playing Tekken, that every round is just, in Tekken 8, so many people just do resource gaming. Okay, what?
Yo, can I quickly see this? Wait a second, this is funny. I didn't see this yet. I want to see what he says.
Because of everything that was happening. You see the weird threats that FeedEx was getting? Yeah, I was just talking about that. I mean, you're threatening FeedEx for fuck's sakes. Like, what the fuck, man? The one dude that said to FeedEx, you better watch yourself. You know what? I'm going to go to tournaments. I'm going to go to EVO, and FeedEx is going to be there. And I'm going to walk up to him and be like, bro, I'm your bodyguard for this entire fucking event. I'm going to protect that little guy because he's this little dude that needs to be cherished. FeedEx is a shining member of the community that we need to protect, not threaten. I'm gonna if that dude is at EVO who threatened FeedEx, I'm gonna kick the shit out of him. And I don't mean in Tekken. Okay? There's my threat. You little bitch. Threatening somebody saying that they should watch their back because they have a different opinion than you is different than threatening somebody because they threatened somebody else. So I feel like I've got the high ground here. Eat a fucking dick, bitch. Like, what is that trash? Jesus Christ. FeedEx is a good fucking dude. He's done nothing, absolutely fucking nothing that I have seen in his channel that warrants any type of threat or negativity whatsoever. The guy is... You can't say anything negative about the guy. He's the type of person where if you don't like FeedEx, something's wrong with you. not him. That's a you fucking problem. Okay. He's a good fucking human.
Hey bro, listen, like, okay, fair enough. Like, I don't agree that you should obviously threaten FeedEx and stuff. I already stated that. But, like, now we are going past this. Like, bro, when FeedEx has a shitty take, then you can say that FeedEx has a shitty take. What is that? Like, oh yeah, when I say FeedEx has a shit take, now I am a bad person or what? Or when I don't like him because he said something wrong or something like that is a bit too far, but like the other sentiments, they are okay. Like defending him and all this stuff is like honorable and things like this, so fair enough. Because yeah, I mean, I agree. Why would you fucking attack FeedEx? Like, you can say that he is maybe sometimes a dickhead. You can maybe say he was lying a little bit. But I would never say that I am gonna fucking beat him up because he fucking... like, what? Do I look like a fucking ape or what?
Fuck it, you know what? I can't believe it. You're threatening one of the sweetest dudes on the planet who has done nothing but help this community. FeedEx has devoted himself to teaching people how to play Tekken. And as somebody who tries to do the same, you have no idea how difficult that is. Because you have to put so much time and research and effort into this game, studying the fuck out of it. Despite me playing this game for 30 years, I don't know it.
Not cool to bully people over a different opinion though. What the fuck kinda ape shit? You are just too sensitive, my friends. Like, if someone has a shitty take, I'm gonna call him out on that. If that's, like, too bad for you, then... I don't know, just leave the stream. Yes, the stream is not for you, man. Like, I don't want to have only whiny people here. Like, legit, I would rather have less views.
Damn thing about Tekken. Because it's such a deep, complex game that has so much going on. There are things that happen in this game every time I play it that I have never seen before. That's how ridiculously
not
deep
physical
this
violence.
Game
I already
is.
said that.
Trying to teach that to people? Fucking hats off to you. And I try to do it in my little bitch ass way that I try to do. And I know a lot of you guys like my way of teaching, but FeedEx's method is just mwah, chef's fucking kiss. The dude has a formula that works, that he designed himself, that is now making it so.
I don't think anything this guy says is over the top, to be honest. It's a video game. Opinions are opinions. Going personal is never cool. Yeah, if it is cool or not, whatever. But if someone makes shitty takes, then he should accept that he is gonna get called out on it eventually. And some people do it in one shape or the other. You can't stop it. This is the internet, and this is the harsh reality of the matter. But regardless of that, we can say that you shouldn't obviously threaten violence towards someone that's like does maybe something that you disagree with. You know, just don't threaten violence. If you have something to say or you want to call him out on a specific point, then do that and bring up arguments. When I called out FDX, my argument was I find it annoying that when we talked about Tekken 8 and we tried to explain why the game is going into the wrong direction, he and Speedkick started a campaign to explain why Tekken 7 is bad and that's the opposite direction and disengagement, and gaslighting us also with that the movement is good and you can step so much and the hitboxes are not just very big, but you just pressed, and like, I am allowed to call this out because this is just not healthy for the community if the people spread like false narratives and there's no one to check them on it. If someone is gonna be offended or cry about it, then so be it. But I'm gonna do it regardless with whoever it is. If someone has a shitty take and I don't agree with it, I'm gonna say it. Did I say beat up FDX? I didn't. Other people have done that. So you cannot like apply this on me.
People are learning this game and enjoying it on a level that we've never had before, and it's thanks to FDX. And he did that out of the goodness of his own heart in the beginning because he didn't plan on making a fucking living from doing Tekken content. He didn't plan on gaining 100,000 subscribers in a year, you know. Now he's doing it for a living. Congrats to him. He deserves it. He earned it. He busted his fucking ass on his YouTube channel, and people are benefiting from it all over the place, and now he's getting death threats. People, human.
But you know what I find weird? How many content creators so far have gotten death threats? I have gotten death threats. I know the main man has gotten. I know that... Bro, there is so many, bro. Even Kwis has gotten. Kwis also, bro. Like... There is so many that has gotten this, but somehow when it's now about like FDX, the main man makes a video on it, the buff guy makes the video on it, and this guy, he himself puts it on Twitter. Like, it's getting blown up so much. At the end of the day, guys, don't forget it was a random comment on a YouTube section with a throwaway account. Like, these things happen all the time. If I point this out, they will say, oh, you are so evil and stuff, but I'm just a realist, bro. I'm just saying it's a bit now getting out of proportion. Like, who else is now gonna make a video about this? And then the funny thing of it is FDX is coming from the League community. You want to tell me that FDX has not gotten threats in the League community? You play the game, you get death threats, is wild. I am also saying this is bad and stuff. I'm just saying after some points, like, we are now blowing it out of proportion. Like, okay, this is bad, we already said it is bad and stuff like this, but, like, it's getting a bit cringe. I don't know, don't you feel that it's getting cringe? Like, if I'm a bad person for saying that, bro, I take it. I don't mind. It's the fucking FGC, bro. It's Twitter. This happens every single day.
Trash. They're fucking trash.
Alright. Now, because we talked about... No way.
I was attacking his talking points. And that's
What?
in the room, given everything that's been going on social media for the past 2
So he has also made a video about FDX getting threats. Do you know what I mean when I say who is the next person that is gonna make a video now on this? Bro, yeah, of course, I'm just a bad person if I say this, fair enough. I'm just evil. Okay. Okay. Maybe Joe Biden also makes a statement about this. Or Trump.
What's up, you guys? It's FDX. Bandai Namco has finally broken their silence after announcing the emergency patch. We're going to read through their statement today, but first, I want to cover my predictions for where I think this emergency patch is going to go. If you want to see my raw reaction to us reading through this the first time, it'll be on my second channel, FeedX Unhinged. Some people have flamed.
What are you crying about? What's the point to come into the chat with such a message? Crying already insinuates that I am like having a negative situation here. I am not crying. I am explaining it very like normally. What is like I am gonna put you on here. Your comment gets pinned. So let's talk about it. Where is the crying and what happened? What are you upset about? Defend yourself. Oh my god, there is a Tekken streamer making content about Tekken. He is being negative, so he is crying. What is this fucking below the freezing point fucking IQ talking points that I'm getting thrown into the chat randomly? You were thinking you were slick writing some random shit into the chat and then hoping the chat would be fast enough to just get dismissed, yeah? I am curious why you are so taken back when people make videos about Fee. Oh, now you are using obviously a different lingo. I am curious why you are so taken back when people you make videos about Fee. Do you think if you would have entered this conversation with this sentence, I would have lashed out in the same way? Answer my question. Do you think if you would have came with this type of sentence into the chat, I would have reacted in the same way? No, you came in and you said you are crying and stuff like that. If you want to have a genuine conversation and really want to ask something, why don't you open the conversation in a normal manner and then get a normal answer? This is the problem with you. Oh, now we are bringing up some Jewish statements, yeah? Now we are bringing anti-Semitism into the script. Of course. What's next? Do you want to use the words bigoted, racist, homophobe, transphobe? Is anything else there? And using capital letters is not gonna make your argument look stronger, my friend. You just look like you are chimping out. You can write normally. Capital letters is not gonna solve your case.
That channel for saying like it's stealing content, it's my other channel, so it's okay. Anyways, my prediction was that the emergency Tekken patch, well, first, I think the emergency Tekken patch has to do more than just fix make some noise, Paul's forward 1+2, and the third chip, okay? I think they have to remove the huge frame advantage, the homing moves, and the moves that cover the weaknesses of specific characters, what I call the weakness removal moves, okay? Trust is at an all-time low right now because of what they said about the defensive direction of the game and then releasing this extremely offensive patch. I'm a bit pessimistic, though. I said, however, what I expect will happen is 2-1 clap will remain the same but be interruptible. Paul will get the bug fixed, and some other bugs will be fixed, like Anna's move copying bug. I think the core design will remain unchanged and people will continue to be angry, but I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. Where do I base these claims? This is a tweet from the Tekken account where they this tweet came out when? April 3rd, okay? So 11 days ago, they acknowledged that they needed to patch these things, but I was concerned by the phrasing. They talked about the unintended follow-up on Paul's forward 1+2, which makes sense. But then they talked about Jax make some noise, saying that the third hit is uninterruptible. Which means...
No way he used y'all. There is no way he used y'all. There is no way he used y'all. Do you know what I... remember what I said in the beginning of the stream? Do you understand now why I said this? The pattern recognition thing with the sentences and how they use specific words? It's always the same people. They talk all the same, bro. It's okay, bro. All good, man. All good. Don't worry about it.
Design, it was supposed to be interruptible, but no statement about the fact that it's a +8 homing chip damage mid. So, I'm pessimistic. I hope to be proven wrong, but based on their statements and based on the direction of the team, my best belief is that
it's called being American. I don't think it's that deep. Most of the time when we have issues with people in the chat that have no arguments and come into the chat with saying like y'all are crying and stuff like this, and he opened the sentence with crying. You can go back into the beginning of my stream. I predicted that people like this come like bots and they all use the word y'all. And it is an interesting pattern that we recognized, and now he reaffirmed that stance. I am sorry, but it's kind of astonishing.
It's going to take a while. It's going to take more than this emergency patch. It's going to take multiple patches into the future. Now, let's read their statement. If you just want the TLDR, you can skip to the timestamp below, where I'll just go through the notes really quickly. But I'm going to read their statement, and then we'll talk about it. Balance adjustment policy for version 2.0.02. The development team acknowledges that following the Season 2 update, the overall game balance has shifted too heavily toward offense. We sincerely apologize that the actual balance changes did not align with the development intentions and policy previously communicated to players. They're talking about that EVO interview where they said it was going to be a defensive patch. We deeply regret not being able to address the improvements and adjustments that the community had hoped for. Moving forward, we are committed to distinguishing between issues that can be addressed quickly and issues that require more time and community feedback for proper review. We will implement a step-by-step update process to improve the game experience. In this upcoming update, we will fix known issues and begin a balance review based on the following policy. The patch notes for version 2.02 are scheduled to be released shortly before the update around 10:30 a.m. on Thursday, April 17th. So if you look at the notes right below here, for West Coast US Pacific time, that will be 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday when the patch notes will come out. Point number 1. In light of the current damage environment trending toward inflation, driven by the offense-heavy game balance and increased aerial combo damage, the maximum health value will be increased. This adjustment is intended to ease situations where matches are too easily decided by one-sided momentum. I think this change is not good. This is a direct nerf to poking unless poke damage increases. This is a band-aid fix for the long combos, the insane chip damage, the increased combo damage that the rest of the cast has. It's a good acknowledgement of the offensive problems, but it's a big nerf to poking. Then again...
Hey, this is also what I said, yeah. We agree on this talking point here. So when you buff HP, you're gonna nerf poking. So this is something we can agree on. That's fair enough.
We know that the current iteration...
I've been seeing this dude's vids. It's cringe. So what made you follow and come here in the first place? What made you follow and come here? By the way, chat, you can leave him alone. We already destroyed him. I'm starting to feel bad for him. Okay, you told me. Then you can fuck off now. In a bit, bro. Thank you so much for your input. I appreciate it. Kukl the boy said to me that I am a bad person and stuff. Thank you so much. You enriched my day.
Of Tekken, the current philosophy of the team doesn't like poking, right? They've nerfed Devil Jin's poking.
Bro, fuck off, man.
More on,
you
like,
shit cunt, bro.
Moves. So
you ain't no GOD, man. You're lying bastard.
The blanket increase to health rather than adjusting combo damage specifically or combo length. Combos, even if they're fun to do for the pilot, combos have gotten so long that many people, even beginners to pros, have to deal with the problem of staying focused on the match while you are in a 15 to 20 minute cutscene. It's not even a quick time event where you can like hit a button at the right time to escape or like reduce damage. It's a cutscene. So I think for the flow of the game, a 15 to 20 second combo, which is like a third of the round, is too much. And they should have just looked at that instead of just increasing health. Number 2, gradual adjustments to overly high reward moves. This update addresses the overall inflation of attack strength and combo damage by implementing adjustments that can be done quickly to moves that provide excessive reward. We recognize that this is a game-wide issue rather than a problem limited to specific characters, and we plan to continue reviewing and tuning these aspects progressively. That's good that they acknowledge it's game-wide and not specific characters. This is widespread and rampant. Examples of adjustments included in the update. Balance adjustments to high-performance moves that can repeatedly create advantageous situations and lead to one-sided gameplay. You're talking about like Jin doing the running move into stance over and over, Leo doing running move into stance. That gameplay loop is really toxic, and it's just a lot of guessing to deal with. I'm glad they're acknowledging that. They're also doing adjustments to moves with disproportionately high reward compared to their risk, ensuring fairer risk-reward balance. We'll have to see the specific numbers. Obviously, this is a good thing if the lows are more risky, even if the mids just aren't giving insane plus frames. But we'll have to see details. Number 3, rebalancing the offensive and defensive aspects of the heat system. Currently, the benefits gained by the attacking player through the heat system are considered too great. The following adjustments have been made. Revised damage scaling when using heat dash to suppress combo damage inflation. Okay, so if you do a heat dash to launch, we can assume damage is going down, which is a good thing. Adjusted frame advantage on hit for heat engagers, maintaining benefits for the attacker while allowing the defender more opportunities to respond. Love this change. They've alluded to it in the past, but we need to see the numbers. Their idea of allowing the defender more opportunities to respond may be out of touch with what is reasonable, right? So if it's +5, that's very different from, say, like +11, right? And we've seen a lot of +11, +19, +31, where there's very unreasonable amounts of counterplay, right? Heat engagers are currently +17 on hit. I would like to see them probably around +8, +11 at the most, but even then +11 is a lot. So again, we'll have to see what they decide to go for. Additionally, adjustments have been made to chip damage as follows. Reduced additional chip damage during heat. Change the system so that the moves which already deal chip damage do not receive extra chip damage while in heat state. Future updates will also include adjustments to the amount of chip damage dealt by individual moves. Okay, so they've talked about this before, reducing chip damage across the board. I think this is something that's a character-specific issue. You talk about Kuma running 1+2, the chip damage on that is egregious. I think, on a generic level, I don't really perceive chip damage.
Wait a minute. Did he say 11? Yeah, I am here. Houdini, I'm here. Did he say 11? Or...
Kuma running 1+2, the chip damage on that is moves. Okay, so...
11 at most. Bro, I think we should, as a community, stop... like, pretending as if anything above a one-digit number is reasonable, no? Like, we should just resent that as a community and just signalize, hey guys, this is just a no-go. Like, literally, we cannot have a +11 heat engager, man. It's just too much, bro. Yeah, but when you say at most, then you are insinuating that this would be still in the frame of acceptable. But I don't even see it in the frame of acceptable anymore. I say +5. But okay, we can have a different opinion. I don't mind it. He said it's too much +11. Ah, okay. If he's saying that they might do +11, then it's different. Put a screenshot of your webcam on. Just open my Instagram on your fucking second monitor.
They've talked about this before, reducing chip damage across the board. I think this is something that's a character-specific issue. You talk about Kuma running 1+2, the chip damage on that is egregious. I think, on a generic level, I don't really perceive chip damage in the heat state as an issue. To me, it feels character-specific. I feel like this is in the wrong direction. Obviously, reducing chip damage in general is better for, like, the blocking and movement style of Tekken. But I don't think it's a blanket issue so much as it is characters with specific moves and tools. So, that's my opinion. Okay, future balance adjustments. In the next update planned for mid-May, adjustments will include reducing air combo damage and reevaluating the performance of Heat Burst. Again, I would like to see them reduce air combo length, and by consequence also reduce damage. We don't need 3 strong aerial tailspins and a Heat Burst that freezes the screen and zooms in, and then Lydia hits you with an attack throw, strikes a pose, and wall splats you again. I think combos can be snappier, people can get back to the gameplay faster, and there's still room for individual player expression in combos. That's just a matter of helping give variety to the combos. If you have a wall carry combo, an Okazemi combo, and a damage combo, you'll get more variety, more intrigue, and more decision making. And it doesn't have to take forever. And evaluating the performance of Heat Burst is good. That Heat Burst is very, very strong and has been the entire lifespan of Tekken 8, but it's already been made more linear. I hope they continue to make it more linear. Some characters like Brian and Dragunov have really good tracking on their heat bursts. Additionally, we will continue to review issues that could not be addressed in this update, such as moves that consistently create advantageous situations leading to one-sided matches. That's good. Too many plus frame homing moves. And attacks with disproportionately high rewards relative to their risk. Also good. Moving forward, we remain committed to incorporating player feedback and will focus on resolving cases of overly dominant character performance and interactions that result in one-sided gameplay. And there are no patch notes. That's just their statement. So, if you jumped here for the summary by the timestamp, welcome back. Before we do that, I'm going to make you look at this.
Okay, I don't need the summary because we already know the content. I want to know his opinion. So, problematic scenarios. I think he is gonna now point out the HP buff and how it's gonna affect poking and stuff like that. But let's see, because I don't know, I'm just like thinking.
One patch, okay? But for example, just take a look at these situations, okay? I'm going to share a couple tweets here. They've been shown in previous videos, but I know a lot of people don't necessarily watch every video. You're busy. You got a lot going on. So let me just show you this. This is Leroy alternating between his plus frame mid out of sidestep and his plus frame high out of sidestep, both which go into stance, right? They both give plus frames into stance. This is very one-sided, one-dimensional gameplay, not a lot of interaction, okay? This is what I hope and I assume they're looking to address. Their idea behind these moves is that they're linear, so they're steppable or they're duckable. But the fact that they're plus frames and go into stance leads to these kinds of one-sided mind games.
He is in the beginning of the summary saying that they did almost nothing of what he suggested. Yeah, the thing is, this video so far, I was liking it. Like, I do agree with him overall. Like, I do like it.
They're not even really mind games. They're just throwing moves at each other. The next thing I'll show you is the Jin Kazama situation, which you may be familiar with. Where Jin can do his slash kick into stance, which can also dive kick into stance. The slash kick is a mid, the dive kick is a high. So yes, you can duck the dive kick, but the slash kick will wall splat you. So he's getting chip damage and repeated mix-up situations. And Brian does find the rage art at the very end, right? But look at how much gray health that is. Okay, Brian's UI got in the way. Look how much gray health that is. It's not, even if it's got weaknesses, even if there is counterplay, it's not interesting to deal with. And here is just a better example of how degenerate it can really get. Because if you do decide to try to duck, sorry, that's loud. If you do decide to duck at the wrong time, it's catastrophic. And he has so many plus frames, mashing isn't even an option. And here, this isn't a plug. Nino just ends the replay because you can tell he's already dead. Last thing I want to talk about is their last statement. They talk about moving forward, we remain committed to incorporating player feedback and will focus on resolving cases of overly dominant character performance and interactions that result in one-sided gameplay. And for me personally, my priority is reducing the interactions that result in one-sided gameplay. Okay? I come from Super Smash Bros. Melee, where there are very few dominant characters, right? You see a lot of the same matchups over and over. Fox Falco, Fox Marth. But the interactions they have are very dynamic. The gameplay is very interactive between both characters. You could see the same matchup over and over again, and you could see something new depending on the players, their styles, their game plans, what region they come from. That's the Tekken I really crave. So if even for a bit we get some stale meta where we see the same top 5 characters, as long as the gameplay is deep and interactive, I'm personally okay with that, okay? I know that's going to be a divisive take, that some people prefer to see more character diversity, but for me, I don't like artificial character diversity. I don't like that we see Yoshimitsu more now because Yoshimitsu is strong. I liked when we saw Yoshimitsu, Xiaoyu, and Zafina players because it was a really unique character to pilot that was hard to use. And the character specialist would bring out really cool techniques, really cool strategies. So, me personally, I'm really hoping they lean into reducing one-sided gameplay, and they're taking some steps, but again, the trust is really low. That's what I said in my tweet, and I hope that the patches start to go in a better direction. For what it's worth, they say they're listening, but they also said they were listening before. So we'll have to see what the notes say. We'll have to see what direction the game literally takes. And unfortunately, we're going to have to wait a while because I don't think everything will be fixed in one patch. I wish I had better news.
Alright, I think this was a good video. So, W. Anything else? Have you seen the Electric Underground video explaining they turned Tekken into Soulcalibur and Pokken? Send me this video. Send me this video. Immediately. Give a link. I would have otherwise ended the stream. So this is the last video I'm gonna watch because, as you know, in the week I need to be on point with my sleep schedule.
Have you ever matched up against
Shedding the legacy audience Tekken 8. Okay, wow. Man, I wish my camera would work for this. I want to make a reaction on this, fuck. Shall we try to turn on the camera one more time and see if it makes that buzzing noise again? Fuck it. Nah, it's gonna buzz anyway.
someone on Fightcade and they're doing a bunch of random stupid moves, and at first you think, is this guy trolling me right now? But then as the match goes on, you realize, oh, he just has no idea what he's doing. That's Tekken 8. That is my experience with Tekken 8 since its launch last year, where when it first came out, and I think everyone else assumed, okay, Namco, you're making all of these strategic concessions here to try to appeal to a big mainstream audience, to try to pick up even more Street Fighter crossover. You're going to add in meter, so we got the heat. You're going to add in chip damage. You're going to try to make the game more spammy and aggressive for the guy that never wants to learn how to sidestep or backdash. And speaking of, they'll go ahead and nerf the movement, beef up the tracking a bit, and we're going to get kind of this even more watered down version of Tekken 7. That, I think, is what we all sort of figured Namco were up to. But you would think what would happen after that is once the game comes out, once it gets its 9 out of 10 from IGN and everyone's saying how great it is and it's getting its sales, it has its install base, it's getting its competitive scene all set up, then you would think that Namco would then start to tune the game into a more competitive experience for the long term. But last year, it was just disaster after disaster. I have this whole video recapping this recently called Tekken's Authenticity Crisis, if you want to hear all about that. But I think what everyone were hoping, I know I was hoping coming into Season 2 was, all right, this is where they pull it together. This is where the game is now actually going to become a real game. It's not just going to continue this awful madness. But oh boy, Namco had a surprise in store. Because now it is obvious that beyond just the intention of modernizing Tekken, they also do not have the developer talent to back up this vision. This goes way beyond just hoping that they'll change their mind and make the game good. Season 2 has revealed their hand that they don't know how Tekken works. Even if they're trying to make it what the people are wanting to see, they don't know how to execute this. The developer talent pool that brought us Tekken in the arcades over all those years has dried up, and now we're dealing with a whole new set of people. Yes, maybe there's some familiar faces still hanging around, but obviously the people working on Tekken 8 now do not have that same foundation of how to design a game that Tekken once had. And even Harada's leadership certainly isn't helping. Because if you go back and look at Harada's tweet about the end of Soulcalibur and his assertion that gameplay mechanics are not the primary reason why a fighting game franchise succeeds or fails, during the era of Tekken 7 and even early Tekken 8, that tweet made some sense. And I remember everyone saying, yeah, okay, Harada, I see where you're coming from here. But in the light of Season 2, and just how damaged the gameplay mechanics have become, especially when he refers to this change away from focusing on gameplay mechanics as a paradigm shift. Now that reads really differently, like, whoa, Harada, gameplay mechanics are incredibly important. And now, go back and look at the end of Soulcalibur. The games just seem to get worse and worse, culminating in Soulcalibur 6. And here's something that's very interesting. If you look at Soulcalibur 6's reception in the way that Namco would look at it, the way that a mainstream type of person would look at it, Soulcalibur 6 was a slam dunk. Okay, it had great sales, it had great Steam reviews.
I am saying, hey guys, now it's working. Anyways, you have a little buzzing, except it only for this video, then I end the stream anyway. Do we agree that this person is somehow saying everything that I have said for the past year, yes or no? Like even the Soulcalibur talking points, and like that the devs are like these devs that don't know what they do, and this is like Nakatsu, and these guys have like everything makes sense, bro. Everything makes sense.
Views, it had great Metacritic scores. Soulcalibur 6 was a success if you're looking at it as a publisher. But if you actually played Soulcalibur 6, especially even slightly competitively, you would know that game was an abomination. It was definitely the predecessor to what we see happening here in Tekken 8 Season 2.
I swear I tried to explain this, and even the mechanics are similar to this, but this is less volatile than Tekken 8, and now you gotta imagine the gaslighters, like specific people on Twitter, just randoms also, they would say, yeah, but look at the sales, look at the sales. Yeah, the sales were good because it was reflecting the success of Tekken 7, and it was reaping its benefits. Now, we have a situation where the sales don't reflect the performance of the game. I swear to God.
The reversal edge mechanic is a literal rock, paper, and scissors added in to the game. And then there's a ton of meter and super spam. Soulcalibur 6 worked because the expectations in terms of game design were really low. All people wanted, and I bought Soulcalibur 6, were hot babes, a cool character customization, and some nostalgic type of fun. But no one actually expected Soulcalibur 6 to be a really viable competitive game. Didn't even have good net play. I had to use Parsec to play against my friends because the net...
You know why this concept works in Soulcalibur? Because they do Soulcalibur and Soulcalibur. What they have done now is destroy a 30-year-old legacy by Nakatsu trying to make Soulcalibur and Tekken 8. Congratulations. Like, I've been saying all this time, guys, they are doing this, no, Medusa, and this is not true, and the devs believe in them. It's the vision.
So bad, but it got away with it because of low expectations. This is the problem with seeing video games merely as products. Because as a product, Soulcalibur 6 did excellent. But in terms of a piece of game design, a piece of art, it was very shallow. And look at the drop-off. Literally, people bought it, played it for a few days, and then never touched it again. Is that what we want to see happening with our fighting games? Because the style of design, this avenue that Harada is pointing to, that is where all of this is ultimately leading. And there are no counter incentives. Mainstream critics like IGN wouldn't be able to tell if a fighting game was good or not, even if they tried. So they just act as marketing wings for these publishers. And then on the influencer side of things, if you're dedicated to a fighting game as an influencer, its health and crowd size directly relates to your health and crowd size. So you want the fighting game to be as popular as possible. And then on the publisher side of things, having a robust, giant, casual interest audience, that's going to play out much better in the long term than trying to continually onboard people into this more complex style of game design, especially without the arcades to be the backbone economically. And then on Steam itself, usually the volume of casual players will drown out the descent of the smaller legacy hardcore players. And why does this matter, you may ask? Well, guess where the Soulcalibur devs ended up? That's right, in Tekken. We call this failing upward, because even though they created an abomination in terms of their own series game design, because it succeeded commercially, now it is getting integrated into Tekken itself. Thank you, Harada. And yes, I'm aware of how much backlash Season 2 is getting right now. This is definitely unprecedented in the world of fighting games, because even if there is a release that radically shifts how the game is designed, look at Guilty Gear Strive, usually what ends up happening is the legacy players, they grumble and complain on Twitter for a while and on Discord, and there's a little bit of like a backlash to it, but ultimately the inpouring of casual fans outweigh them, and eventually they just quietly move on as if they never existed. So what is happening with Tekken 8 Season 2 and just Tekken 8 generally? Why isn't this transition as smooth as Namco probably would have hoped and a lot of other games have been able to achieve? It's hard to say for sure at this point, but I do have a theory that I think is pretty interesting, which is one reason why Tekken 8 cannot do this, where Guilty Gear Strive was able to pull this off, is because Tekken 7 was not just a game that people played for fun. It was a game that people spectated. It was a spectator
esport.
very much like StarCraft Brood War. And I think this is actually what is happening to some degree with Tekken 8, where there are a lot of people, especially on console, who are just happy to spam their life away, and all of the shifts to Tekken 8 are making their lives the best they've ever experienced. When I was doing my 100 ranked matches, which I'll get to in a minute, I could sense the sheer joy radiating from some of these guys. So there is a demographic out there. I do think
I didn't understand this specific point here. What did he try to say? Sorry, maybe someone else understands. What did he try to say? That they fucked Lee, or?
they exist, of dads who come home from work and they've got Tekken 8 on their PS5 and they fire it up with Harang and they
love spamming.
kick string spam and 50-50s and juggles, and they're like, oh, okay, I won, I lost.
I think if he wanted to make a point for spamming, there would have been 1 billion better clips. That one was not so clear.
And it's just kind of this mindless consumption, and they probably spend most of their time doing custom character outfits than actually playing the game. I sense this is a big demographic that Namco are aware of, that the Twitter sphere and YouTube sphere probably aren't accounting for. Like, if you look at the review scores for Tekken 8 on PSN as opposed to Steam, Steam is extremely negative and PSN is really positive. It's ironically even slightly higher than Tekken 7, just barely, but there you go. So this is the demographic that I think Namco are considering, and they're there. But there are a lot of people who love to watch high-level Tekken. And I think that player base, which Tekken 7 ironically did such a great job at capturing, is being fundamentally betrayed by Tekken 8. Because if you watch Tekken 8, it is just... it sucks. I didn't even enjoy watching it at EVO. I about took a nap because there's so little interaction. There's none of that spacing, that movement, those oh my god types of moments. When a game has 4 different comeback mechanics, comebacks are not hype. And so even though I am a fairly legacy player, I
disagree only in one point. I think his explanation is wrong. comebacks are not hype is wrong. I think comebacks are hype, but they are not hype when the system does it for you. These wow moments in Tekken 7 was because you had a sliver of life left and not much options to make that comeback when the opponent was turtling with heavy movement. You understand? That was worth pointing out. Now, who cares? Every game is a comeback.
It's not what Namco needs to worry about. They have awakened a sleeping giant that is going to cause them a lot more problems than just a few Tekken Tag Tournament players or Tekken 5 fans. I mean, they've awakened this whole creature that they've created, which I find sort of funny in an ironic sort of sense, but also obviously really frustrating.
You know what, bro? This guy deserves a follow. I would, for example, talk with this guy. You know, most people I'm not interested in. This guy I would talk with. He sounds smart.
The situation that we're in the middle of, but I just wanted to bring this up because I think the spectator crowd is a demographic that no one is taking into their analysis, Namco included. And speaking of analysis, I played over 100 ranked matches in Season 2, and here's what I have to report. Okay, coming into Season 2, because it's already widely acknowledged as being awful, and justifiably so, my goal for this section of the review was to try to find some nuance and try to identify some sort of coherent direction that these changes are adding up to. And I began with an interesting working theory, key on began, which was when you look at the patch notes and, like I said, dig into the bit of the developer history, you notice there's this Soulcalibur sleeper cell inside of Tekken 8. So maybe my theory was because they added foreground stepping, they're actually slowly transforming Tekken into Soulcalibur, which would be rude to the Tekken fans, but I do like Soulcalibur when it's good. So I thought, maybe this might be interesting. Let's give this a try. So the plan was I'm going to really try to take advantage of the foreground stepping and do something called step guard, which is sidestep into block. And the idea is because Soulcalibur either has A, linear attacks, or B, sweeping homing style of attacks. The linear attacks, obviously you step around them, and the homing attacks you step guard into. You step and block, and when you block, you're on frame advantage. So throwing out homing moves in Soulcalibur is dangerous to do because if they block them up close, they're going to throw you, they're going to mix you up. So I thought, maybe that's what they're going for here. But when you actually play Season 2, this doesn't work in the slightest because all of these giant homing ass attacks that they added in, they are advantaged on block. Anna's stupid hammer is +4. So I was getting into situations where I was pulling off these sick, perfect step guards and would go to jab punish, the lowest frame punish. I was getting counter hit out of it. So these giant ass homing attacks are nothing like Soulcalibur because Soulcalibur, when it was good, had some coherent frame data. Whereas these homing attacks just straight up shut down sidestepping. And so you can sidestep in Season 2. It is there, and it does happen, but just in terms of pure balance. The developers are either stupid or evil in deciding, nah, playa, homing moves will just hard shut down sidestep.
General chat was funny.
Also, if you try to backdash out, because this game has so much forward-moving attacks, backdashing out, you're just getting caught in their little strings over and over. If you try to duck, well, here comes the mid. You know that mid launcher mix-up is coming. So trying to use spacing in Season 2 is actively taking risks that you shouldn't have to be taking. If you successfully sidestep something or successfully step guard into a homing move, you should be at advantage, not disadvantage. So just the pure balance of the spacing, it's nonsensical, but it's so commonly prevalent throughout all of the frame data changes that someone thinks this is a good idea or someone just does not understand how to balance a fighting game. Another example of this is the way they do the frame data on strings, because I've heard a lot of people describe Tekken 8 as aggressive, that, I think, is not being charitable to actually good, aggressive games like Virtua Fighter. Tekken 8 isn't aggressive, it sucks. And I mean that in a purely technical sense, of course.
We reused an old God of War Ascension feature called Suck to Target on most of Kratos' attacks to help with this issue. Each attack specified a range, speed, and stop distance, which the engine would use to suck Kratos towards his target. This would make it significantly easier to hit enemies.
And what I mean by it sucks is that it's not that these spammers that you're fighting against are just these aggressive masterminds with all these sick mix-ups and they know how to press frame advantage and all that kind of thing.
What we are watching,
no, what it is
we are watching someone being very reasonable and having a high IQ and understanding why Tekken 8 is going down, the route is going down. I'm just listening because he's like spot on. There's nothing to add. When I have something to add, I'm gonna say it.
Tekken 8 has a lot of suck to target mechanics where if they can just get the string out, then the momentum of the string will pull them into you. And there's not a really solid counterplay to this because obviously you're going to block this, and if the frame data of the game was somewhat good and coherent, what would happen is maybe you get them to whiff the first hit of their string, and then you'd block the second hit of their string, and when you block the second hit of their string, they'd be at frame disadvantage, and then you could punish that, sidestep around it, you could begin your counterplay. But because the strings in this game are so positive on block, just wildly swinging is actually a really effective way to play neutral in this version of the game, because block is good because you're healing, you're locking them down, you're pulling yourself closer to them, you're prepared to now do your mix-up, and this is the type of neutral game you see over and over again against these scrubs that I'm playing against here in the footage, and I'm trying so hard to play straight up Tekken, but this is viable, and that seems to be the guiding philosophy of how this game is balanced now. They want just the hardest reads possible. So if you're going to try to punish a guy's big linear string with a sidestep, you need to just hard read that they're going to continue to swing, because if you try to take a more measured sidestep and go into block, you're going to get clipped.
Boah. Damn, this guy is very intelligent, you know, and this one I can add on another point. You can't sidestep against specific characters down forward 1, for example Shaheen. You can't step block. You can only walk it on a read. They want you to make hard decisions 24/7 and not have a fuzzy like defense mechanism where you can rely on your movement. You need to rely on your read at all times. Like, yeah,
or they're
he's
going
right.
to be able to reset the frame advantage. You have to actively say, all right, I'm taking this big sidestep, and you need to walk all the way around their string, and then you get a little bit of a punish. But if they decide just to stop swinging, that sidestep did nothing. And that is why it is just the spammer's paradise, because you don't need to worry about neutral game because you can constantly suck into the opponent. You can just skip neutral every single time and get right into the mix-up. And these spammers, they love this mini game of, oh, am I going for the low? Oh, am I going for the mid? Here's a mix-up command throw to put in there while we're at it. So effectively, what ends up happening is that technically, yes, you can sidestep around things, but because the game system is so permissive with throwing out homing moves and throwing out just endless strings, sidestepping is more risky now than it ever was before. And I talked about this in my tutorial video for Tekken, where an issue with Tekken's system, even historically, is that it tends to encourage spamming. But once you learn the movement and the sidestep mechanics, you're able to escape the spamming sand trap. And that's always sort of an uphill battle for the new Tekken player. Well, Tekken 8 Season 2, the sand trap is now just a death vortex black hole. you need to be a sidestepping grandmaster just to achieve an average level of success using stepping and movement in this version of Tekken. That's the hilarious part. Look at the footage here. I am trying so hard to play fundamental Tekken. That was the goal, just to see how well it lines up into the new system. And what would happen is I would spend 4 matches just sweating my ass off, backdashing, sidewalking, sidestepping, step guarding, trying to just constantly make the fundamentals of the system work. And I would be able to just eke through about 4 matches. And then the 5th match, I would just get a little bit exhausted, and just the slightest error, the slightest not holding block for 5 minutes, and boom, it's over. You're dead. And the irony is, and I'm being 100% serious here, is if I got into a ranked match and a guy started sidewalking and backdashing, I would actually feel relief.
Yo, thank you, Tommy, for the raid. I just seen it. Thank you.
So he's not going to just spam the shit out of me with mix-ups and heat. We're going to actually try to play a little bit of fundamental Tekken here. But the irony is there's this interesting set of behavior that Tekken players will have, even ones that are trying to play more straight up, which is, okay, for the first 2 rounds, we'll try to play some genuine style of Tekken, but once that final round comes up and their rank is on the line, guess what comes out? Oh yes, the spam strings and the heat and the rage hearts and all of that. They're just sitting there waiting to engage it until they actually had to. But if you're trying to win, if you're trying to get your points, that is the style. It does become addictive, but not in the same way that Tekken used to be, of like, you're getting into the flow of the combat system and you're really like, oh, I'm learning, I'm starting to get it. This game is addictive in the rage spite sort of way. I don't think I've ever been this angry while playing a fighting game in a really long time, ever since I was a kid and throwing my controller.
That is true, man. Tekken 8 is the game that makes everyone angry. Everyone is a different person when playing Tekken 8. You don't like the person you become playing this game. Legit, it's so volatile. No one can deny this.
In Street Fighter 2, everyone I played, I hated them. And that did create this sort of compulsive way of playing. And maybe that is part of this game's design and what they're trying to capitalize on. I talked about this a little bit in my previous video of how a lot of games now are intentionally introducing compulsive style design to keep you coming in, but not in a way that emphasizes skill, because skill hard stops this sort of compulsion, because you realize, oh, I have to learn, and there's all that friction involved there. Whereas if you just feel like, if I had only done the mid, if I'd only done the low, I would have won. And by reducing down all of the ambiguity of the combat system into that single point of focus, that creates this god damn it one more time type of behavior that is resistant to frustration, and it is resistant to you knowing that the game is meaningless and shallow. That's actually a part of its appeal. Look at slot machines. No one on earth thinks that slot machines are skill-based design.
The thing is, do you realize now that no one that has an affiliation with Bandai Namco will ever in his life do a video like this about Tekken 8? I'm not saying they have to. I'm just saying if you make a video like that, you're most likely not part of the inner machine of the circle. And that's what makes him so credible, and that's why you enjoy listening to him so much. It's because he just doesn't sugarcoat it. He says it for what it is. You don't need to read between the lines and stuff. It's just a good change, you know?
And yet people are compelled to continue to put money into them. But even with gambling game design, there are rules to this where it can't seem too downright arbitrary, because then the guy running the slots will realize it and realize, oh, you're just stealing my money. So there is even some nuance that a slot machine needs to have that I don't think Tekken 8 has. There's no nuance. They're going for this idea, but it's so poorly executed that now we can see what this thing is, where if it was more clever, maybe it would kind of get away with it. But because it's just this abomination, yeah, we can see right here. So I think it's important to document just how awful this design is and be aware of what devs are going to try to pull with this type of stuff in the future. But another thing I wanted to bring up is this game's chip system, as it's referred to. I don't think we should call it chip. We should call it spam heal. What this is a healing system that actively encourages spamming and actively disencourages small gradual hits over time. Because if you look at high level Tekken or even moderate level Tekken in the past, it's not just players going for constant launchers all day, every day. It's all about slowly whittling down your opponent's health through all of these strategic little wins where, oh, you get a low here, you get a jab here, small bits of damage that add up over time and end up putting more and more pressure on your opponent. And then under that pressure, then they start doing big swings and then comes the electric. That's the idea, is you slowly chip and whittle away at the opponent to open them up. But with this healing spamming system, now what ends up happening is that a blocked poke is no longer a neutral exchange health-wise. Getting attacks blocked is an advantage, not only because you are chipping away at their health, but you're also recovering your own health. So these neutral exchanges of just spacing and moving around, that is actively discouraged.
Do you realize that if a Virtua Fighter player that is around red ranks has the intelligence to exploit Nakatsu's vision so easily, that tells you that Nakatsu's vision just sucks ass and is very shallow. It's a very superficial system. There is no depth into it.
Only with the nerfs to the movement system, but also with the incentives of hitting your enemy through the chip system. And so what ends up happening is the only way to do meaningful damage in this game is to go for the big launchers, to go for the big mix-ups. Again, they are doing everything they can with every system around every turn to disincentivize fundamental style Tekken. So not only does it skip neutral, not only does it put the opponent in this awful mix-up situation, but now it
Heals you.
And I got all the way up to the end of the red ranks, and the types of playstyles I was dealing with should be day one level ranks. And the irony is that I actually had a really hard time advancing up in ranks because it was down to luck in a lot of cases with how the matches would work out, because you don't play players and you don't play characters in Season 2.
Did Hellsweep, did Nakatsu, did Murray work on Soulcalibur? Because we can see like this whole thing, it's coming from Soulcalibur. We know that Nakatsu worked on Soulcalibur. That vision there makes more sense. In Tekken it makes no sense. When you say then Murray is telling Nakatsu to do this, then I'm questioning, okay, then Murray would have needed to work on Soulcalibur because that vision was there and Nakatsu was there. If Murray was not there but Nakatsu was there, that means that this is definitely Nakatsu's vision by extension.
What you play are block strings, and everyone has their little block string that they've mixed up and they've really formulated. And what ends up happening is, even if I end up winning the series, so I match up against the guy, the first match he obliterates me because I don't know what his block
mod you
strings
after
are.
the
I don't know
stream.
what his little mix-up game is.
Too lazy to
so I have
do
to
it now.
spend
Maybe
an
if it
entire
works on
game
YouTube.
figuring this out. Hard memo.
Ep.
So then I hard memo his block string, and then maybe I barely eke out a victory in our second match, and then he quits the third. Because he knows I know his block strings. And is that the game's fault? Well, I mean, maybe they should force best of threes at this point. But even if it's not directly the game's fault, it is very much overall the game's fault, because this is the mentality that Tekken 8 is encouraging. This is the mentality that Tekken 8 is catering directly to, with all of this gambling casino style design that I'm really glad people have picked up on. that is creating this gambler's behavior even in the player base, where it's like, oh, this guy figured out my strings. I guess I'll just move on to the next guy. Let's see if he figures out my strings. It's a night at the slot machine for players, and it shocks me a little bit. I've been playing against Kazuyas who are purple ranked and cannot backdash cancel. The things that used to be really skill-based and, yes, broken, but broken in the sense that it took hundreds of hours to master their elements. Like, the reason why I play on Korean stick is because of Tekken. Because I'm a Devil Jin player, that I want to do wave dashes and backdashing and the movement system that was so important to me, and I loved the way it felt on Korean stick, and now I play Korean stick always, even outside of Tekken. But that comes from playing Devil Jin Mishima. But in Tekken 8, the advantage of high execution movement is downright quaint when compared to just the madness of the heat system. Same thing with the armor attacks, by the way. Another reason why you can't play a poking and spacing game in this version of Tekken is your pokes are just going to get absorbed by armor attacks. And yes, I am aware that Tekken 7 also had Power Crush, but in the context of Tekken 8, where the opponent is constantly in your face and constantly swinging, the issues it creates with the neutral game are even more exaggerated. Especially since they can just spam heal themselves, the chip that you supposedly did, and then you're opening yourself up going for these little pokes and jabs to them using heat armor, which will just break through and they'll counter hit you there, or they'll just do a random rage art right through your pokes. So trying to poke at people, especially at the end of rounds, is super dangerous. There were so many rounds that I lost just trying to go for a traditional poking out style of kills. I get them down to that last sliver of health. Now you just go for a generic low kick, and they'll through the generic low kick. And even if it doesn't kill you, they have the mix-up right on top of your ass, and they'll activate heat. To close out a round, go for big-ass moves like a launcher or something like that. You need a move that will kill them even if they armor through it. Or you have to bait out something like a rage art or a heat activation. You have to take so many missed opportunities for Okazemi because it's just too risky to try to chip them out. The comeback mechanics of this game are absurd. They are so overwhelmingly good that at times it feels like you are at disadvantage for getting them into a rage art heat type of situation.
He is so
I remember
right.
Street Fighter
Oh my god. How does he know about that, this smart fucking guy? You could be a good Tekken player if I fucking train you. Anyways, it's a high level strategy to distinguish if the opponent would go into heat with the next attack and then opting for not doing a little attack but either a do or die attack because you don't want the opponent to be in rage. Really, really interesting nuance here. I've never talked about it myself, actually.
Ultra had this type of problem, but this is Ultra on crack. It makes Ultra look downright balanced and tame. So, yeah, even poking, end of round type of dynamics, those are out the window. Just go for strings. Just go for big launchers. Just spam, spam, spam. That's how you get the wins at the end of the rounds. It's really sad. And finally, let's talk about heat. I mentioned earlier that I wanted to do some research into the game design elements of Tekken 8 Season 2 because I was trying to find some sort of coherent direction where this game's mechanics are coming from. My initial hypothesis was Soulcalibur, and I think that was partly correct because clearly the heat engager little rock, paper, scissors comes from Reversal Edge, and Soulcalibur had a lot of this emphasis on meter and being spammy and kind of crappy, so you can see the influence from Soulcalibur, but there's even more to the story. And I think I did identify an additional source where this game's gameplay ideas are coming from, because I was looking through the Moby Games developer credits and I noticed there were a surprising amount of game developers in Tekken 8 that worked on Pokken. And I thought, That's odd.
That is exactly what I was saying, bro. They worked on Pokken, they worked on Soulcalibur, and that's why you have this version of Tekken. This is not Tekken, man. I've been saying it from day one. This ain't not Tekken, bro. It's so obvious.
But there is a lot of arena-style elements to Tekken 8 Season 2. Like the fact that all of your attacks are just homing in all the time, and you're forced into these constant blocking situations. That's very arena fighters. Those don't have real spacing, sidestepping like a Tekken or Virtua Fighter. Instead, everything just auto-homes in all the time. Suck to target. So that's very interesting. And you can see how both Pokken and Tekken 8 have a lot of mechanics that remove the neutral game spacing.
I think if he would know us, he would love us.
All of the streams are so positive on block. That seems to be a dynamic in Pokken as well. There's no high or low blocking in Pokken either. Maybe the guys working at Tekken 8 forgot about that whole dynamic. That could be a real source of where a lot of these complete misunderstandings of how neutral interactions in Tekken and frame data and all that should work are the guys working on the frame data literally thinking they're coding in Pokken style strings. Maybe. But then I started watching some Pokken matches because I was wanting to see what the neutral game would look like. And then I found it. I found the oh my god moment, which is Pokken has this mechanic called synergy. Heat is synergy. They are like the exact same system.
It hurts. It really, really does hurt. It really, really does hurt. You know, Tekken might be lost. That pattern recognition, I tried to tell you guys. I said, guys, I have good pattern recognition. I know what's going on. They are changing their demographic. This is not Tekken. They are Soulcalibur people and Pokken people working on this joint. That's why you have these mechanics. They are in those other games. They are bringing out this game for the Switch too. I mean, at this point, I do not have a lot of hope for Tekken. I am honest. I think it might be over the way we know it. Honestly. I'm sad. I'm really sad. I loved Tekken a lot. But you do have to understand they don't design this game for us anymore. They really do not design this game for us anymore. Who believes that this is not true? Who has still hope? Like, after some time, it's just denial.
The heat system of Tekken 8 comes from Pokken.
There's a meter next to your HP bar called your synergy gauge. You gain meter by doing different actions. Some examples are whiffing or connecting with attacks, initiating a phase shift, taking damage, or armoring through attacks. Synergy by itself does not do anything, but when your gauge is full, pressing L plus R puts you into Synergy Burst or Burst Mode.
Burst Mode's activation is invincible on startup, so it can be used as a reversal.
Burst Mode gives you a 10% increase in attack and defense. All characters besides Chandelure gain specific changes like extra or better hitboxes and frame data on their attacks. Characters like
extra or better hitboxes on their attacks in Heat. Remember when we pointed out and said, guys, FF2 in Heat behaves different than FF2 without Heat? This is called pattern recognition.
Gengar and Lucario become drastically different and very difficult to stop. Lastly, Burst Mode recovers some of your Grey Life. and after a few seconds in burst mode without taking
Strawberries.
damage, you slowly gain back even more HP. Pressing L plus
Yeah, this game is even better because at least here you need to build the meter. We have it at the start of the flippin' round, bro.
while in burst mode does your burst attack, or as I refer to it, your super. These attacks are very powerful and gain invincibility or armor very early in the animation.
So there you go. The developers of Tekken 8 are not transforming the series into Soulcalibur. They're transforming the series into Pokken and into these arena fighters. And then you take a step back and it all makes sense, because look at Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, how big of a success that was. I can absolutely see the guys at Namco being like, oh, Project Tekken, get the Pokken guys in there. Is that actively happening like in smoky rooms? Who knows, but it's definitely...
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna tell my editor to upload my reaction to this video, and I want to see what the people have to say, if they still call us idiots and tinfoil heads or not. It will be a very interesting experiment. Wait a second, I do it live on stream. He can cut this out. Yo, Tommy, listen, I'm recording this live on stream. I'm reacting to a fucking video that confirms everything we have been saying for the past year, and everyone shitted on us. Please, get to work. This needs to get uploaded, bro. Alright.
Effectively happening and how the game is developed. And there's been a lot of talk about the developers of Tekken 8, and so I did a little bit of research into that. And I think that is a very interesting situation in itself, because there's a lot of
my
talk
mic buzzing
of,
is because of my camera.
Fire some guy or maybe replace some guy. But if you actually look
I ordered a new
on
cable.
Moby Games, it's basically every developer in existence at Namco working on Tekken 8. It's not a situation where this is just one dude making all these decisions. Look at the roster. Look at how many dudes are just in the game.
Oh my god. I didn't know it was that bad, actually.
Every developer in existence at Namco working on Tekken 8. It's not a situation where this is just one dude making all these decisions. Look at the roster. Look at how many dudes are just in the game design department of Tekken 8. And I started looking through them, and you get this crazy mishmash of, you got a few legacy Tekken guys in there, then you've got Soulcalibur Pokken guys in there, you've got random dudes, this is like their first game. It's just a giant crew battle of developers working on Tekken 8, and then it makes so much sense.
Yes, because how is it that they make one change good and then the other team makes a change against that good change? Fuck, we are cooked. How are you gonna fix this situation now without educating the people that the lead development of the game needs to get changed, or we are fucked? I can't go into Bandai Namco and change the fucking game developers with a fucking YouTube joint. The main man is not gonna do a video about it. Fee is not gonna do a video about it. We are fried and it's over.
Why is this game's design so schizophrenic? Why is it all over the place? Why is it saying one thing and doing another thing? It's because it's this giant committee of people trying to make this amalgamation. There has to be factions in the game design team itself, where you've got the sad old regular Tekken guys in there that are getting bullied by the rest of the staff. They're getting swirlies in the toilet, and then Harada's tweeting, oh, it's not about game mechanics. It seems like pure chaos. And so the idea of, well, why don't they pull this together? Why don't they rein in on all of these dynamics with all this outcry and stuff like that? It's because there are probably people who their entire job is the chip system. And then there's probably another guy, his entire job is heat mechanics. And then there's another guy whose entire job is homing moves with plus frames. Obviously, I'm being a little rhetorical here, but you get the idea. That is why when you look at the change log for Season 2, why it's this giant incoherent mess, because I bet what ended up happening is There's no clear direction. And then everyone's in their factions sort of working on things. So the guys in the Heat corner are like, oh man, let's add this in. Let's add this in. And then the plus frame homing guys are like, oh, let's put this in. And then they all come together.
With all due to respect, but that's not how game development works. There's a direction and tasks assigned to different teams. Not everyone does what they want. Yeah, but the lead game designer is Nakatsu and he worked on Soulcalibur. And the other guy worked on Tekken. How is that then not significant? They are not random people that do the coding. They are in the lead game design. And what we are arguing is that they are designing the game towards being Tekken and Soulcalibur. How is that wrong?
And there's this giant ass pile of changes everyone's proposing, and it's like Washington gridlock, who's getting in, who's not getting in. You're not going to back down on the heat system if your entire job is the heat system. They're not going to cut it, and they're not going to cut the chip. They're not going to cut all of these problems, where if it was a smaller team with one coherent vision that were holistically looking at everything, then one or two guys can change their mind. You could have one guy, he's looking at heat, it's not working, he can remove heat because he still has his job. But if you have this sort of segmented style of mechanical design, which I'm pretty sure is what's happening, dudes will not lose their jobs over this. They will fight to the death, especially given how these games are being evaluated by publishers. They're not evaluating them on the depth of their game design. We know Harada isn't, and I'm sure the higher-ups aren't doing that as well. They're just looking at, is it selling? Is it getting the metrics? And if it's hitting those, it's working. And
I want to ask you something, Chet. Isn't it the case that Street Fighter 6 at the beginning was very volatile due to the rush mechanic, drive rush? And then they kicked out the game design, some people apparently, and then they fixed for the second season the drive mechanic, and then they love now Street Fighter. If that doesn't happen in Tekken, then Tekken is doomed.
so how
Street Fighter 5, you mean? I heard this about 6, so I am not sure. Someone got fired in 6.
can this be solved? I honestly have no idea, but I know it's a lot more complicated than just replacing.
Street Fighter 6 is the same. There's probably also people that will say that Street Fighter 6 became better, because I heard that often. Even Ryan Hart said that.
A guy or two, it's going to take a real massive overhaul that is not the type of thing we tend to ever see in modern game design, even with really heavy public outcry. Remember, public outcry has a very short lifespan. Japanese developers are well aware of this. This is one of their strengths compared to Western developers. Like, they understand that public outcry cannot last that long. And so if they just huddle down and do a defensive curl, usually it ends up settling in the end and people just kind of move on or accept it, and they've already made the sales. It's all good, and maybe this is kind of the last Tekken game of the foreseeable future, so maybe they're just trying to push it over the finish line, and long-term stuff about competitive blah blah blah, maybe that's not even a concern anymore, because you look at what happened with StarCraft 2. A lot of developers are just bowing out. They're realizing this isn't making money. This really isn't contributing to sales like we think it once did. So maybe there is a bigger vision here that we're not privy to, which is maybe Namco are going to start stepping away from stuff like the Tekken World Tour, and this is a long-term play to get Tekken into that arena Dragon Ball Z sort of status that people will just buy it and play it casually. Who knows? But that would seem to be the direction that we're seeing. Maybe
damn, this guy really has interesting takes on this. Bro, everything that he has said for these 40 minutes, I have said also. But you have never said that about me, Chris. Fuck you. Suck my dick.
Tekken is genuinely trying to balance both sides of the audience, but because of the shift in the developing staff and the
paradigm shift,
as Harada puts it, in the post-arcade development philosophy, maybe they just do not have the understanding to create something that is both casually digestible and competitively deep. And maybe these are just two competing design philosophies that are not so easily merged together in an online rank environment, because in the past, where there wasn't online play, it was a lot easier to make a game that is both deep and accessible, like Tekken 5, because new casual players do not know that they're not good. They're not playing against top-level guys doing Korean backdashes and electrics and sidesteps. They're playing against their buddy next door and can't even backdash cancel. Whereas in the online environment, you learn very quickly, no, you are casual, you're not good. And so now developers have to somehow make a way, in their minds at least, that the casual scrub who cannot backdash cancel feels somehow a valid threat to the guy who's been playing for hundreds and hundreds of hours. Mission accomplished in Tekken 8, by the way. Is that legitimate? Is that good game design? I would say not, but that seems to be where we're treading. And since this giant crew of modern developers that are working on Tekken 8 are casuals themselves, that is definitely the bias they're going to lean towards. You can see this in pretty much all of the shifts they made to Season 2. And then on top of that, leaning towards the casuals also really is in the financial interest of the series. You can see all of these factors coming together to create this really shallow, homogenized abomination of what Tekken once was. And if shedding the demographic of legacy players is the price Namco has to pay, I'm thinking they're probably willing to pay it. Which puts Tekken as a series in a very interesting position, because if Namco pulled the plug on Tekken in a few years, what game would the player base choose as the definitive competitive Tekken game? Tekken 5? Tekken 6? It'd be interesting to see, especially because there aren't any PC ports of Tekken games besides Tekken 7. If you look like on Steam right now, Tekken 7, despite all the backlash against 8, isn't really that active, all things considered. But we've got a long way to go till that point, so I will continue to keep my eye on Tekken 8, but the current trend we're seeing is certainly concerning. So that's my review of Tekken 8 Season 2. It definitely sucks. The backlash is warranted. The only question is, will the backlash have much of an effect? I hope so, but I'm not super optimistic, to be honest. It has become a fascinating case study of game design gone wrong, so there is that silver lining, at least. And if you enjoyed this video, definitely check out my review of Virtua Fighter 5 Revo, which I think is a very strong counterpoint to what we're seeing with Tekken 8 right now. Not that I expect all the tech.
When is Virtua Fighter 6 coming out? Chat, we might to jump on that joint. I don't know, man. I just don't. What am I supposed to do with this Tekken? This is not made for me anymore. Anyway, you know?
Tekken players, or even that many Tekken players, to transition over to Virtua Fighter. But if you are wanting a more fundamental style of fighting game, Virtua Fighter, at least for now, is still holding that down, and I very much enjoy it, so definitely check that out. So if you can, please like, subscribe, tell all your friends, and support me on Patreon.
That is his channel, The Electric Underground. Appreciate it. Was very good to watch. And My name is Medusa. I am depressed. They fucked Tekken. I think it's over. I wanted to play the game, but after watching this video I can't anymore. Good night.